1, 2, 1, 2. Vintu. We had a physics teacher in high school who was so incredibly weird. He was, I think, fourth in line. So there's headmaster, deputy headmaster, senior master, and like assistant senior master or deputy senior master or something like that. He was that. So he very rarely ever spoke, but if for some reason the top three were out, he would have to speak. And whenever he was in front of a microphone, this is how he always started. Vintu, distinct vintu. And it's something that stuck with me from high school.
Okay, let's cleanse your palate. You can't hear that fire? Can you now? Still nothing? Interesting. So that was Frigid Armadillo. You might know they got a classic song called Sunshine with Sun Owl Musician. And they've also got a dope song with Audius. Audius has actually built a little niche in South Africa. He's become the voice of a lot of Afro tech, Afro house songs. So shout out to him. Shout out to Audius.
Really?
An alumnus of the podcast. So scroll up to his episode.
You know, I think we need to revisit some of our faves, Phil, and just see how things gone, like from the 5 to 6, 7, 8 years since we interviewed you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
But maybe for future. All right, hey, look. Let's get the energy of the podcast right. I have to ask Phil and also you, the listeners, are y'all
good to go? Sound of it, sing them. Get mad now.
Let me hear a drum play.
Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. This is Two Broke Twimbos. My name is Danny That Guy, a.k.a. Danos the Mad Titan, a.k.a. Denford Wikumarayini, a.k.a. Denimbi, my life, your entertainment, a.k.a. I'm done with these streets. We hold all the cards. You don't have any of the cards. What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? A.k.a. Hakuna Mumwendi Danmu. It's nice, Phil. How does it feel knowing that we're watching the world end right in front of our eyes?
I wish I was more. How do I put it? You know, like sometimes you get worried, like you pass by like a tragic accident. You see some horrific things, and you want to be like, oh, no, and you're just like, oh, that's sad. Anyway, let me keep going.
You think I got a deadline? I got reports to send in. Oh yeah. No, I hope. Yeah, I hope that person's still alive. Anyway, I wonder if the team's meeting is going to get cancelled.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I'm disappointed but not surprised. I think that's the best word. Disappointed but not surprised.
Yeah. I don't know about disappointed. It's very entertaining. I must say, the world events are very entertaining. Anyway, I'm waiting for your introduction.
Oh, what's up? So guys, it's your boy Phil Chard, aka Flynn Floss, the big boss baby, aka Feeds a P, aka Sexington Delovu, aka Filthy Phil, aka DJ Mkaradi, Shamari Tingero Drink, no longer known as Phil on Musk because, reasons. And dear friend, please purchase me a beverage. Very subdued this week, but we're going to lift up the energy because it's going to be a lit show.
Yeah. So, look, we're going to hit you up with another show. Apologies for missing last week. We'll get to it into a moment, but let's start off with Africans doing big things. Every time we miss a couple of weeks, it almost always defaults to Zimbabweans doing big things because there's a bunch of Zimbabweans who've done some stuff over the past week. So allow me to shout them out a little bit. This one came through from our Patreon group. Mm-hmm. And there was a small discussion around it, but shout out to Zimbabwean Senior Ness. He's the Chief Operating Officer and Deputy Chief Executive of the East London NHS Foundation Trust, who is being recognized in 2025 out in the UK. His name is Edwin Charingendlovu. Edwin Charingendlovu is doing the things out there in the UK. And he's part of the 2025 New Year Honors List. Shout out to Zimbabwe. It was very quick to see that. Oh, that's a Zimbabwe name. So yeah, congratulations to my man. Also want to say huge shout out to two Zimbabweans who've been representing when it comes to athletics at the 2025 SEC Indoor Championships. Both the Makarau and Charamba, who were talking about ad nauseum at the Olympics, once again representing, doing their things. Charamba got gold, Makarau silver. I mean, Zimbabwean excellence. What can we say? Congratulations to those guys doing their thing. Huge things. Very proud of them. And of course, huge congratulations to all the Zimbabweans who won NAMA awards this past weekend. We'll get into that when we review the full awards. Both Phil and I were there. We were sitting in the VVIP section, Phil, with a bird's eye view of everything that's happening. And we've got first-hand review of the NAMAs coming up for you. So, yeah.
Stay tuned and don't touch that dial after the break.
Yeah. So, look, apologies. We missed last week. Life happened. This is something that we did warn you about. We are back. We are here. But there was some unforeseen occurrences last week. I was sick. Plus Phil had some stuff to deal with. You guys almost lost the real one. I want you guys to know. It was bad. Whatever variant of COVID this was or what, I don't know, but it was bad. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we back.
And you're just out here infecting everyone. Selfish.
No, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm healed. I'm built different. They looked into my butt, into my blood.
They looked into your butt.
Find DNA.
They looked into your butt. Yeah. What did they find in your butt, Dan?
In my blood. They didn't find DNA. They found DAN. That's what I'm talking about.
They found a man called Dan in your butt?
So 2 weeks ago, right? I was listening back to our last episode. And
do you know how many people messaged me and said, "Yo, is Dan okay? Are you guys beefing? Like, what's going on? I feel like this is weird."
Do you know what I realized, Phil? Okay, first of all, both you and I are extremely stubborn. We are extremely stubborn people, and that's just, it's bad.
You think?
But I think you do as well. And there's a couple of people in the Patreon group that are like this as well. Shout out Tawi. But I love debate as a form of increasing knowledge. My idea is, this is what I believe and I'm going to defend it. What do you believe? You defend it and we exchange. I very rarely ever take it personal or it's like we're fighting or we're arguing. So to me, it's a robust debate. You know what I mean? It's robust. We're debating. You say your points. I say my points. There's a little bit of banter going back and forth. I don't really view it that seriously. You know what I mean? But many things have taught me, including marriage, that not everyone views life the same way. And yeah, but that's not what I wanted to address. Yeah, we did take 45 minutes debating.
So there was a comment. I think it was one of our listeners. Let me make sure I get a name. The one, it killed me. I literally saw this and I died laughing. Here we go. From Tsunki. She goes like, the first 45 minutes was just two men competing on who's the best mansplainer. I was creasing at the refusal of neither of you to consider. Well, Tsunki, just a little bit of mansplaining. It would be either or, neither nor. Just a little tip there, but yeah, that comment had me.
So, but that's not what I wanted to address. What I wanted to address from the last episode. And I somewhat addressed it in the Patreon group because some people were like, "Yo, Dan, you basically called Drake fans stupid." And
yeah, even I.
Firstly, I would like to say that I hope that most people would take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt. I mean, obviously, like part of me, let me say 30% of me was being facetious and being, trolly and whatever. It's a podcast, we're being entertaining. I'm going to say some stuff, but I also realized that the way I spoke was very condescending, and I want to apologize for that. And I think I also didn't really put across the point that I was trying to put across in my haste to try and determine the definitions of intelligence versus stupidity, which is not at all the point I was trying to put across. The trolley part of me reared its ugly head. That's not what I was trying to do. Just to quickly clear it up, what I was trying to say is I believe that there's different levels in complexity of art. And very often, the more you consume a specific type of art, the more interested you are in the more complex versions of that art. And I think you could use an example of books. When you start reading fiction, you enjoy reading lighter, easier fiction because you're basically exercising your reading brain, right? And then as time goes on, you get interested in perhaps more complex art. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to start reading Tolstoy. Obviously, most people wouldn't. So I guess I was just trying to make a comparison about complexity. It made me think of the same example that we've used in the past about Sean Paul. Sean Paul is undoubtedly the most successful Jamaican artist of all time. He is. He's the most successful. He's had the biggest hits. He's sold the most. Is he the best dancehall artist of all time? Well, to someone who does not consume a lot of Jamaican music or is not familiar with Jamaican culture, they might think so. To many people in the US and the UK and in Europe and in Africa and whatever, maybe yes, he's their fave. But to people who live in Jamaica, most would probably say no. They might feel that his art is a little bit diluted. It's a little bit lighter. It's made to appeal to an international artist that doesn't really understand the island vibes like that. In fact, many Jamaicans seem from the outside to have kind of a disdain for Sean Paul because he's like a whitewashed version of dancehall. And they prefer the deeper, more authentic dancehall, not like the pop sort of diluted international collaborations with Dua Lipa or the one that he just dropped with Tyler, right? But he is sold the most. Is he the best? Some people might think so. The ones who consume, more authentic dancehall might think not. And I guess that's kind of the point that I was trying to put across, that I think the more complex hip hop or rap versus more easily digestible hip hop or rap. And I guess that doesn't correlate to intelligence. So listen, I was one of those insufferable people. I sounded elitist and I apologize. That was not my intention. Mm-hmm. And I thought I should just address that right at the beginning. I was just trying to make a difference about how.
They had you retreating in the comments. They had you shook in the comments.
No, even when I was listening back, I was like, damn, that's harsh, Dan. What the heck?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
And so, I think just to add on to what Dan said, the reason why I reacted, it wasn't necessarily, I did feel Dan was being a bit insulting. I think considering the nature of the podcast, we're very tired versus I think it also colored how you presented it, because sometimes what may seem as a joke comes across as more harsh. You know what I mean? And I could see a bit of facetiousness, but in my mind, I could sense a little frustration from what I perceive. So I was like, "Oh, damn, what? Ooh, that's a bit. Oh, it's a tough stance to take, you know." So I get where you're coming from. I wouldn't necessarily agree with. I didn't agree with what you're saying, and I think to add to that, one of the things that I've been trying to speak on, not trying to, I actually have spoken on it before. And I definitely remember writing an article about it many years ago. And I think we spoke about it on the podcast, is one of the things that put me off Drake in the beginning, outside of his singing voice, which I've never really been a fan of, is his content and what he stands for. And it first started with like Marvin's Room. Marvin's Room is dirty macking. And the grimiest type of dirty macking. Like you're calling
up. Oh, but when Mario does it, it's fine, huh? You should let me love you.
Okay.
Let me be the one to give you everything you want and need.
Mm-hmm. It's also
baby, good loving. Yeah.
When you consider recent events, the fact that Neo wrote that song, the way Neo's been moving, have you been seeing Neo's beef with his baby moms and his polyamory guans?
Baby moms or his 3 wives? Or 4 wives now, is it?
Girlfriends. He's got girlfriends. Polygamy is illegal.
He calls them his wives.
If he was actually polygamous,
his wives,
he'd be arrested.
No, it's not illegal in the sense that you get arrested. It's just you can't register a marriage when you're already married. It's not illegal in the sense that you get arrested. But anyway, go on. So, actually, no. Okay, let me not say that so confidently as if I understand American law. I don't. Never mind.
So anyway, I bring all this up to say, I never liked that. And then I have no problem with someone being a fan of Drake or any artist. And the reason why I'm also bringing this up, and the reason why I know there's listeners right now who are like, damn guys, again, God damn it. Can we talk about the new RPs? And
we really do need to move on from this at some point.
And I agree with you. Anyone dance well. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I'm genuinely not, but we've tried to discuss this before, and I don't think people get it. And I can understand why, because even there was a conversation we're having once again in the group today. It's like, even though we've banned the topic, it just keeps coming up. And you know what? I'm guilty of it too sometimes, because I just see something so ridiculous. I'm like, guys, how do you not see what I'm seeing here? Like, you know what I mean? It's wild what I'm seeing. Like if you read the documents, if you read the court filings, you see the news, you read the responses, and you understand the context behind them. I laughed for a good 40 minutes. Like I could, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit. But my whole point is,
no, Phil, let's not get to it. No. I think let's put a moratorium on this Drake situation.
No, I'm getting no, hold on, Dan. Let me get my point out. Okay. The reason why I bring this up
after your point, cool.
The reason why I bring this up is we've discussed the lack of media literacy before, and there's also this weird tribalism thing that's going on, and the problem is, you're now grouped into 2 tribes, no matter what your nuance or what your thought is. And we had this conversation with Tabo and them from 6 Foot Weights, and they were like, yo, and I told him, my guy, mistake number 1 when you have these discussions is you say you Kendrick fans or you Drake fans. That is not how healthy conversations are had, because I do not represent or embody every single point that Kendrick fans make. There's a strong group of Kendrick fans that believe Kendrick had a strong social message on the Super Bowl performance because there were bodies lying on the floor, and those bodies were lying on the floor because they were making out swastikas. And people believe that. That there's a tweet that was saying that it went viral. Anyone with common sense would have read that and be like, what the hell are you talking about? That's not a swastika. That's dead bodies, because it's a body outline, right? I don't represent those. They are Kendrick fans, because I'm on Reddit. I'm in all Reddit forums. There are now Kendrick fans who are just as bad as any other fan base in terms of watching the charts, watching stream numbers. Hey guys, just a heads up, today's the 28th, so the stream numbers are going to drop because all the numbers that we got from the Super Bowl are now progressing, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why would you care? And sadly, as the more popular an artist becomes, they become more popular, they become pop, and they lose their core fan base. And pop fans care about vapid things like numbers. You know what I mean? Chart positioning, sales, blah, 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 blah. In reference to Kendrick, the only reason it became a talking point to some of the hardcore Kendrick fans was a rebuttal. Because before the beef, it was always, Drake doesn't sell as much as Kendrick. He'll never match Drake. So how dare he? And now it's like a nah. I thought your guy was the numbers guy. Because the numbers are not numbering anymore. That's simply it. You know what I mean? We've rarely cared. Like, obviously, it's a good gauge of popularity. It's a good gauge of how the people are receiving the album. Mr. Morale, for example, did not have great numbers because it's a difficult album to digest. As a massive Kendrick fan, I even said it on this podcast, that's a difficult album to digest. I've listened to that album front to back, I think maybe 10 times. Maybe. There's singles like N95 that I replay constantly, but the whole album, it's a tough listen. But I appreciate the art. It's like Godfather. I love Godfather. Godfather is a great movie. A long movie, not an easy watch, but a great movie. Right? Do I watch Godfather every Christmas? No. I watch it maybe once every 2, 3, maybe 4 years. I think I've gone like 3, 4 years without watching it, right? But I appreciate the quality of the movie. Space Jam, not a great movie. I watch Space Jam damn near once a year. Same thing with Home Alone. Because sometimes easily digestible art has more replay value. It doesn't make it better art. It just makes it sometimes a little more enjoyable. So all that to say is that is what I feel with Drake. The other thing is Drake represents a side of hip hop that I do not enjoy, which is this. And I bring it up because I'm starting to see it happen with the Kendrick fans as well, where they care about pop, right? Drake has also shifted his fan base and shifted the music he makes from making music for black women to making music for white men. And he's leaning real heavy into the MAGA stuff these days, or the manosphere stuff. And
so what I would say, Phil, just quickly there, I kind of agree with that opinion, but I disagree with stating it as fact as opposed to, because I don't think it's that. I kind of agree. I do think his music is more leaning in that direction now, but I don't think that's a factual statement to make. Do you get what I mean?
But it is.
Okay. All right.
Okay. To me, it is. I could discuss the myriad of pieces of evidence I could roll out that I believe imbue that, not only from the brand deals he makes, not only from the streamers that he supports. Dude, I'm even forgetting his name. One of the streamers Drake has hopped on 3 live streams since the beef. All been white guys. All guys are unaffiliated with hip hop. They all either have a link to Happy Dad. Happy Dad was shouted out by Trump. Happy Dad helped get Trump elected. The other one is, I'll get his name just now. He was personally shouted out by Trump because Trump was also on his live stream. Those are the people that Drake is aligning himself with. Also with his stake partnerships. Everything that Stake is pushing money behind, very suspect. And the people behind Stake have also been pushing the right-wing agenda real hard. So I've got questions there. But ultimately, in terms of what he's done to hip-hop, in terms of what he's done to the sound, in terms of what he's done to the culture in general, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to list everything he's done. But if you care to find out, it's widely available. I do believe that is part of what Kendrick was fighting against in his lyrics. However, that does not mean I know him personally. I cannot make a personal judgment on anyone. I don't know that man from a can of paint. And I feel like it's impossible for us to have healthy debate, not only just about Drake, Kendrick, but anything. Literally anything. Whether it's the Bobs versus the Barty Gang, or the Stallions versus the Doechis, whoever it may be. Like, if we can't have proper discussions and analysis of art without it being reductive to tribalism, hey, it's our side or their side, or on the same thing, critiquing your favorite artist, in as much as we love Kendrick at the Super Bowl, David Banner brought up a very salient point on Big Boy last week. I don't know if you saw the interview, Dan.
Mm-mm.
So he was asked about what he thought about the performance. And David Banner's first response was, I'm confused because I thought as black people, we had decided we were no longer supporting the NFL. Very fair, accurate statement. Because what the NFL did to Colin Kaepernick just didn't magically disappear. Right? Shout out to Jay-Z because he's managed to make us forget how racist the NFL is. Even as recently as a few months ago, I don't know if you saw the owner of the Cowboys. He was on stream with Jamie Foxx. Well, I don't know. Jamie Foxx's clone. Could have been the clone. And he was like describing a player. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a good boy right there. He's 6 feet, about 300 pounds. He's got a wide hand span. I bet he can run. And he must have he must have a good 8-inch. I can tell he's a thick boy. And then Jamie just cuts off the stream. That's like probably the nicest racist owner in the NFL. And that's how they view black players. Like he's sizing you up the same way they'd size up a buck slave back in the day. And that's a fair criticism. Why would you want to be part of it? But also Kendrick is playing the game and he gave a commentary on how he plays the game. But Kendrick, by nature of being a capitalist, and we said it before, he's a hypocrite. It doesn't mean that I ignore the fact that he's a hypocrite. It's just like, I've got to make my choices. Some of my artists are hypocrites. It's the same thing with Lupe Fiasco. I love Lupe Fiasco. I think, Dan, you love Lupe Fiasco. But Lupe Fiasco, if you've been following what he's been doing the past 6 months, is moving mad hypocritical and antithetical to everything he's preached about. He's partnering with AI companies. He's working with MIT. He's working with Johns Hopkins. And he's doing everything that in the long run is going to harm artists and hip-hop. But does that mean we stop listening to his music? No, it just means we can critique him and call him out on it. Right? And I think ideally I would want everyone to just do the same. Just be open to critique, but also healthy debate without grouping points in, and also developing thoughts yourself without regurgitating what the masses are saying, what the timeline is saying, what the Reddit forums are saying, because it's really not productive. And I think as consumers, the art will suffer because we won't appreciate good art if it's not what's trending on the day. And that's my TED Talk. Thank you.
I would like to propose that unless there's something major, and by major, I mean it would be egregious not to address it. Let's leave Kendrick, Drake, Super Bowl, beef. Let's just leave it for now.
Yeah, I would agree. I do find it hilarious that a group of iHeartRadio's lawyers sat in a room because they have to approve press releases, right? And this is a massive company. This is the biggest radio conglomerate. And they were like, we all agree to say that what Drake and his lawyers are saying is silly. Oh, that brought me endless joy.
Considering also that it was a public material, there's some PR involved there. But anyway, I don't even want to talk about it. I want us to talk about the namas.
The stickies. It's getting sticky. Hold on. Oh, damn it. You can't even hear. You can't hear, but it's fine. It's fine. This is what we're going to do. Every time we do the namas, this is our new, this is our new.
Popping that, get your hit quick fast. Niggas popping off and niggas stepping on the gas. It's getting sticky. It's getting sticky. Bro, it's getting sticky.
Yes, welcome to the Sticky Awards. Talk to me, Dad. I want you to know, Philip, that every year, and we've been doing this podcast for 10 years now, every year, you're the only person in the whole world I know who refers to it as the stickies and who loves the joke of it being the stickies is you. There's not a single other place, person, individual, joke, tweet, Facebook, post nothing.
God
Only
forbid,
Phil.
God forbid I'm original in my humor. That's the problem with you guys groupthink. Okay, I think outside the box, man.
No, very nice. Very nice. No, shout out to you. Anyway. So, this past weekend on Saturday, the 1st of March, Phil and myself made our way down to the Harare Hippodrome. Side note, why is it called that?
I don't know, man.
Hippodrome.
What
It's
is
such a weird name.
Let's see. What is it? Let's Google. Let's see. What is
What is it?
Hippodrome? A theater or concert hall. It's actually a noun.
Is it a
hippodrome
real
is
word?
noun. In ancient Greece, a hippodrome
Oh,
was a concert hall or theater where they would have chariot or horse races. So clearly, we are just uncultured.
now I need to know the etymology. Hippodrome.
Because hippo, as in Hippocratic, so it was a healing drome. Think about it. You ain't getting the science, King. You ain't picking up on the science. Come on now.
Yeah, no. I need to wake up. I need to work now. But what it actually is, from French via Latin, from Greek hippodromos, hippos meaning horse, dromos, race or course. So basically it's the race course. Anyway.
Borderdale could never.
Phil and myself made our way to the Hippodrome. In our snazzy Afrofuturism best, I could see that. Okay, just a quick side note. I have so many things swimming in my head. My biggest challenge is how to make a cohesive, cogent stream of consciousness that's coming out from my. So allow me. Let me start off by saying, sometime back at the announcement launch of the numbers, along with the theme and all of that, it was clearly explained what the theme was and what it was supposed to represent. The theme, by the way, was Afrofuturism.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was, it was challenging you to think about Zimbabwean art 50, 100 years from now. What is it like? What have we done? What have we achieved? What have we accomplished? What does it look like? That's the theme of the Namas. And we want to start thinking now, like, what do we need to do now so that we achieve those goals that we want? So 50 years from now, are all Hollywood movies based on African legend the way that the previous 50 years they've been based on Western legend, for example? Or like the music that's dominating the charts, is it Zimbabwean instruments? Is it African instruments, African movies, African legends? Is that what's dominating art all over the world? Are people traveling far and wide from all over the world to come and watch theater productions in Zimbabwean theaters, et cetera, et cetera? So that was kind of the idea. So the idea was think big and think about what our arts look like in the future. And that obviously translated to clothing. I assume the idea was, try and channel the idea of 50 years from now or 100 years from now, what do the arts look like in Africa? That's what you were supposed to channel in your clothing. Of course, my budget, my designer. But that was the dream that was put forth to us by the director of the Namas, Tinashe Kitchen. Shout out. All conversation that I had since then clearly lost that nuance and was very, they say the theme is African future. And I was like, okay, fine. It's just the wording, semantics, not a big deal. So so you just have to mix up. You just dress up futuristic and you mix it with African print. I was like, Of course, I don't think that was clearly communicated anyway. So it is what it is. Anyway, coming down to the actual day of the event. I have notes.
As do I.
And I've broken down my notes into two basic groups, positives and negatives. Now, as you know, Phil, I want to push P. So without starting off with just a general overview of what happened, then I want to get into the positives and a few negatives. And the idea of the negatives is just criticism on things to improve on in the future, as opposed to just trying to bash on people who are doing their job. You know what I mean? Pushing P in 2025. So just a quick general overview of the Namas. look, the Namas are the biggest awards ceremony in Zimbabwe, the National Arts Merit Awards. Napoleon, who is the director of the National Arts Council and formerly director of the Namas, has several times made reference to the fact that he wants to really start pushing this narrative in people that the Namas should not be the awards ceremony for every single arts discipline. It should just be a top high level award ceremony and should then kickstart or inspire other awards to come out. So every time you're sitting there and saying, but no, we need more categories in digital content creation. We need more influence of the year and skit of the year and comedian of the year and social media account of the year. And there should be digital content awards. It should exist independent of NAMA. If you feel no, but how can you just have one radio awards, which by the way didn't happen this year? You know, you should be having, radio producer, radio DJ, radio talk show host, radio news reader. Fair, but that should be on the radio awards. Should have TV awards. Actually, each arts discipline.
Sorry, time out. I actually just remembered. Was there a radio award this year? Because I didn't notice that. There used to be like a radio category, right? Best radio personality.
They did used to have one. Chamvari has won it 2 years in a row.
Did you win it this year? What was that? Was it in the bathroom?
This year they dropped it. It wasn't part of the categories. I actually think that part of
Ola won Best Male one time, right?
I think he did. I think he won Best Radio 3 years ago, maybe something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, or maybe I'm mixing up. There's years in between. Maybe that's beside the point. I think I completely understand the vision. The idea behind the National Arts Merit Awards was there's no awards ceremony, so let's create one that covers the entire arts industry. But I don't believe there's any. I've never come across anywhere where that's a thing except in Zim. So
wait, what is?
It's completely the idea that there's an award ceremony for all arts. Every single discipline. I think, again, I didn't research this.
No,
but off the top of my head.
I even remember, I once did a voiceover for the South African, was the Ministry of Arts or was it? No, it was regional. Yeah, it was Ministry of Arts. So they've got arts awards. They do have these. They're just not as big because they've got more, the larger commercials like the Samas, the Metros, EDC. They've got these larger commercial award shows. So some of the other ones kind of get pushed to the back. Whereas here, these are the premier awards.
I believe SA has the South African Creative Arts Awards. But anyway, my point is, I think what the team at the National Arts Council and the team behind NAMA are trying to push is this should not be the premier arts awards show. It is now, but it should launch all the different disciplines to have their own award ceremonies where you can properly get into each category and you can properly represent it and all of that. So I get that. And I understand why not every category is represented. And I saw a lot of people complaining, why is there only one category for this? Or there should be more categories. Yo, the awards show is long enough as it is already.
Yeah, they could also have pre-awards like what they do with the Oscars or the Grammys where like the awards start at 2. You know what I mean? Or it can be
the difficulty with that, Phil, is this is a government initiative through the National Arts Council. So you can't have favorites. So what are you going to put in the pre-awards? And how do you then justify what's bigger or smaller? We all know that sculpting might not be as big an art form as music in terms of consumption. But
here's an idea. Make it a multi-day. So there's 7 arts that are represented by the National Arts Council, right? Just make it a multi-day. So day 1 can be theater, writing, and poetry.
Hey,
right?
I'm tired, boss.
Day two will be music, movies, GGG. And you just let people attend as they wish.
Anyway, I mean, where were we? Namo. Okay, yes. So that's sort of the whole concept behind it, right? So, okay, here we are. We're now attending the awards. The theme is Afrofuturism. Obviously, you want to see how people are going to dress. The starting time was 5 p.m. We're a little bit late. Let me start with the positives. And then I also want to hear your positives. First of all, I want to say the performances were great. I enjoyed them. I think there's been some better performances in previous years, but that's to be expected. You know, some years are going to be better. So other years are going to be slightly worse or slightly better, whatever. But I think in general, the performances were great. I really enjoyed that opening performance with Danielson, Pro Beats, Silent Ngo. I don't understand why the Tokoloshi dude was there, but it sounded good. It looked good. The dancers were great as Silent did his guitar. Danielson came in with his bofro. You know, Pro Beats did his beatboxing. The performance was great. Delroy Shewe and Atenda Chinks, dope. You know, the energy was dope. Atenda Chinks sounded good. Some people had question marks about the liveness of the mic, but be that as it may, it sounded good. Delroy Shewe sounded good. I think he did like 3 or 4 back-to-back songs that were hits. I was like, yo, these performances are dope. Oriano sounded good. I can't describe myself as a fan of his music because I don't really know his music like that.
Also, first song was not live vocals. That was backtrack. And I don't understand when he started his performance, why he was performing with a piano that he wasn't playing. I get the visual, but like, at least make it obvious. Or
we're starting with the positives.
Make it so obvious that you aren't playing the piano. Like,
we're starting with the positives. He was making a visual story. He's telling a story, you know? Phil commented on the acoustics of the venue.
Yes, those are actually really good acoustics. Way better acoustics than HICC. Way better.
I will say, sitting in there, the performances sounded great. And it looked good on stage. I had some complaints about the lighting, but it looked good. When I watched it back on the live stream, I was like, yo, this is not at all what my experience was. In the venue, it looked and sounded good. On the live stream, it didn't.
Which is ironic because in previous years, we've had the opposite experience where in the hall, we were like, yo, this doesn't, like, it's not, I think especially the year before we hosted, the red carpet. I think that was 2019. I can't remember what it was. It was the same year Aishan won. I can't remember if I'd gone, if you were there or not, but I remember that one, that award show specifically. I was like, yo, this isn't the greatest. There were some good performances toward the end, but I was like, this isn't the greatest show. And then I came back and I watched it on TV and I was like, oh, okay. You know what? This award show was made as a TV production and the TV product looks really good. And I'm not mad at that. And in the years since, I think that was also JCMC's and Napster's second or third year running the award show. So they were still getting their footing. They were still figuring things out. I think by the last 2 years, they had really figured out how to present a really good TV show and a really good in-person show. This year, and also keep in mind, they're doing the same award show at the same venue. So when you solve a problem for lighting, for acoustics, for just the logistics of it all, you've got 4 years of iteration. So like, oh, wait, last year we had a problem on this ramp with this entrance. It took us this long to do this. This didn't look good here. So you've got 4 years to improve. This year now you've moved to a completely new venue. It's also the last year that Jacaranda are running the award show. So it's gonna have some growing pains. And in the theater and on TV, it did not look like the best of experiences. So funny enough, Dan, I actually had an outfit for the award show. And then I went to the final fitting with the tailor. And while I was doing the fitting, I was already sweating buckets. I was like, yo, this is a hot ass outfit. And he was like, yeah, no, but it's good quality. And it looked good. I loved it, man. It looked fresh. Would have been dope. And much like what you commented, I then asked people, I was like, yo, just a heads up, was there aircon in this venue? And I was told, nope, there's no aircon, but trust, there will be fans. And on Saturday, as I was leaving, there was no sign of rain. It was still blazing hot. I was like, you know what? I am not trying to be sweating buckets for 3 hours in a venue where I know there's no aircon. And I don't know the lay of the land. In my experience at HICC, whenever you want to get drinks or food at the HICC, at the Namas, it's a nightmare. And I don't know what system they were going to use here. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Nor did I want to be the guy walking around with like the handheld fan. Because then people are like,
That's not so bad.
But what does this guy think he is? Like, what does he think he is? Anyway, so I didn't want to be that guy. So I was like, you know what? It's cool. Let me just change. So I called the last minute Audible, changed the outfit, went to something that I knew was a bit cooler, and I was able to do it. But the reason I bring this up is the experience of the Hippodrome. The Hippodrome.
Phil, we're still talking the positives. I'm still on the positives, Philip.
I'm bringing up the positives. No,
okay,
also,
good.
we can do counter. You can do positive. It can be like a compliment sandwich. Then we'll switch. Hippodrome. I love the location. Hippodrome is my old hood. I've got so much family that live in walking distance from there. So I'm familiar with the area very well. Right? However, the Hippodrome does not look like a finished venue. Like the entrance for the VVIP, just outside the entrance, is massive shipping containers and scraps, construction scraps, wooden pallets that haven't been cleared out. And to the left, there's a wall. And over that wall, it looks like what might be a garbage dump behind the service station by Zua. There's not enough parking in the venue. Not only is there not enough parking, the parking that is available isn't clearly marked. So it's a nightmare to park and get in and out.
Parking was insane.
So, and the reason why it's double, granted, HICP parking is also not the best because when that venue gets full, God bless you. The wild part is that venue was not full. I would estimate maybe 30 to 40% at most if we're being generous. And so what happens when you got full attendance there? Like what happened? That's another concern.
The problem is y'all need to carpool. Y'all are not thinking about the environment. That's the problem.
So there's that, and I think that was the immediate thing that I came across. It's like, yo, inside the venue, it's not finished. Like also, I don't know if you noticed, like when we're walking up the stairs, like the stairs that lead to the bathroom and the stairs that led to the bar, there's cables that run out of the stairs.
Yeah.
That lead to I was just like, yo, this is wild.
Yeah, I saw that. And also like the steps were pretty, like they were pretty steep. And my sisters, my dear sisters that were in high heels, they were struggling. They saw flames. But going a little bit back to the positives. I don't have too many more. I liked I have some criticism for the production overall, but the production of the announcement videos of the, like the nominees and the winners. I liked how it was put together, and they had the Afrofuturism theme and the way I thought it was put together very nice. It looks good. I liked the teleprompter, huge teleprompter screen in the back that the presenters are all able to follow while looking directly into the camera. International standard things. And I would also like to say that I think by and large, there weren't too many super egregious award winners. I think by and large, people are like, yep, that makes sense. Of course, some people might have their faves here and there, or maybe there's one or two that I haven't immediately thought of right now. But for the most part, the people who won in their different categories, you could see why they won, and it makes sense. I've now come to the end of my list of positives that I had written down.
Okay, let me see if I've got some good ones here. Oh, the Joyce Praise performance was really dope. Great performances. Actually, I really like that. I like the Tender Chicks performance. That was really dope. Yeah. I mean, it was nice. It was good. It was good.
What do you think of the Ja Praiser performance, Phil?
It was dope, but like, I don't understand why it
tell
happened.
The people the truth.
I don't know why it happened 45 minutes after the awards ended. Okay, we know partly why, but I also don't understand. Like, if it gets to a point where you're like, listen,
we had to leave before the performance really started getting like cooking. So
not had to leave, like we chose to leave because it was also late. So the other backstory here is, as you guys might know, for reasons that promoters can only attest, maybe it was only available that day. Manana was also in Harare. I happen to know a few people on Manana's team, and they had been in contact like, yo, Phil, we're in Harare. We'd like to link up. What's the plan? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hey, love to come through, but we're at this award show. So after I attend the award show, I'll check in with you guys and we'll link. Had the award show started on time, we would have been done around 10-ish. Would have been perfect time to link up with them because they would have just got back to the hotel, would have chilled with them for a bit, whatever. Because the award show was running very late, and by the time we were done, I think it was close to midnight, they were like, dude, we've got a flight at 8 a.m. We're tired. We're not going to the club or anything, so we're heading to bed. And I was like, fair enough. Cool. I'll link with you guys in Joburg. No stress. So our plan was, after the award show, to go pass through there, say what up. That obviously didn't happen. So once that happened, Dan and I started schmoozing, talking to people to stand the third. And even in that process, because I timed it, it was 45 minutes from the end of the show to when Ja Praiser started performing. Because he was supposed to be the after party performer. I am not mad at the concept. I'm not mad at the idea. However, I do find it a bit strange that the biggest artist in the country is performing on the non-televised version of the awards after the awards have ended for a select group of people. I know the logistics why, Dan and I know the logistics why. I just don't think that made sense. If you wanted to have him as part of the show, he should have been part of the show.
I 100% agree. Here's my thinking. Booking Ja Praiser to perform at the Namas is a brilliant idea. It's a great way to make sure you got eyeballs on the Namas and a great way to raise the profile of the event.
And get people to buy tickets and attend. Because if you just tell people, listen, you might not care about the Nama Awards. There's a Ja Praiser performance. I don't know. How much are tickets? Actually, I think it was $50, right? $20?
So I ain't paying for Nama tickets in a decade. I don't know how much they were.
Right, bro.
Anyway, the point is, right? Hiring Ja Praiser is a brilliant idea. If you're not going to broadcast
$10 and VIP with 30. That's once again. So seeing Ja Praiser for $10, steal. Seeing Ja Praiser,
but
at the Hippodrome.
Do you get what I'm saying, Phil? Like, it's a steal. This is a National Arts Merit Award. It's a national event. Your hope is that several million people are going to watch this live. That's your hope. It's going to be on ZBC. It's going to be streaming on multiple places. Get Ja Praiser on. That's how you're going to guarantee that a lot of people are going to watch. But it's not broadcast. Okay, we understand there's some technicalities behind the scenes as to broadcast rights and so on. Okay, so if that's the case, if you were just looking for an after party, then, you know, what's the point of getting the biggest artist in the country for a small group of people who remain behind after the Nama show? That, to me, that was a little bit weird. I 100% agree with you. And a couple other things that I found weird.
I was going to say, just add on to that. I think,
yeah,
it's also difficult for both of us because Dan and I both work with the Namas in various capacities. So I was even thinking of like writing an op-ed. I was like, I don't know if I can. I still will if I get the time because it's been a bit of a hectic week. I'm a little stressed.
This is constructive criticism. Don't feel bad, Phil. We're not just ragging. We're not just ragging on people. We're just trying to say, listen, for the next Nama, granted, it will be different managers for the Nama Awards as of next year. So it will no longer be JCMC or Jacaranda Culture and Music.
So what I was going to say is, I think the Namas are at an impasse and they need to figure out what they're trying to do. Are you trying to make an event where the arts industry, all of Zimbabwean art industry comes together and celebrates Zimbabwean art? Or are you trying to make a show that is a commercial endeavor that helps fund itself for that? For example, the Grammys, for the most part, there's a massive invite list, but then there's also a few people that buy tickets. The VMAs is the opposite, right? How you fill up the crowd determines a lot of things, and how you attract the audience accounts for a lot of things. looking at that audience and looking at the award winners, there's so many award winners. Winky D, Chillmaster, Killer T, who are not in attendance. And I remember having this conversation with someone many years ago at the Zimbabwe, and I was like, the problem with award shows in Zim, especially on a weekend, is sometimes when an award show is during peak booking season, an artist has to make a decision, a business decision. Do I attend this award show to win this award, which may or may not increase my booking revenue, but it's a testament to my popularity, but it won't necessarily increase my popularity? Do I attend these awards and sacrifice whatever money is available to me? And this is post-pandemic, so it was really pressing back then, but even more so. I would say a little less so now, but it's still a concern that they'll have is, if I attend this award show, what do I stand to lose? What do I stand to gain? And in some instances, I think some of them just don't care, right? But it doesn't bode well or reflect well on your award show if the artists who are nominated, being celebrated, being awarded, don't attend. And I'm not just speaking of the A-list musicians. I'm talking across the board, from playwrights to poets to musicians. I genuinely have to ask, how many of them were invited? Even if the people that are nominated, just like, hey, you're a notable person, or you're an up-and-coming poet, or you're an up-and-coming writer. This is a good opportunity for you to network. It's a good opportunity for you to understand how the awards work. It's a good opportunity for you to hobnob, blah, 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 blah. How many of those individuals were invited?
Of course they were invited.
No, but I'm saying how many of the people in the industry, the total industry, were invited? Because are we saying that if we just sent out invites to every member who's a member of the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe, and even people that aren't, and we said, hey, we're having these awards, we want you to come, would we not be able to fill out the hall?
Can I ask that we stop thinking about or talking about this event from the perspective of the organizers? That's a very limited group of people that relate to that kind of thinking. I want to talk about it more from the consumers, from the people watching on TV or the people that were present. And I think I had in my notes as well as one of my negatives. One of the big problems that we had was that a lot of the artists I have it in two parts. A lot of the artists nominated and winners were not present, especially in the bigger awards. The ones who were there for things like dancer. In fact, the dancers were all dancing there anyway. They were there. But even like literature awards and visual arts awards, a lot of them were not there. And it was getting picked up by representatives. The big awards in terms of music, let me just take a quick scan through the winners. By the way, huge shout out to King Kandoro, winner of Outstanding Stand-Up Comedian.
I think before we detract, just finish your point there so that we can put a bow on that. So you're saying you don't want to think about it from the point of organizers?
No, I'm saying as we talk about it, let's not talk about it from the perspective of organizers. Let's talk about it from the perspective of the people consuming it.
And I'm speaking of it from that point because my whole point is it's not a great experience in the hall, and it's certainly not a great experience on TV when there's empty seats.
Agreed.
And there were many empty seats. So now I'm trying to say, okay, if that is indeed the case, there's empty seats, how do we address it? That's issue number one. Now, I don't feel, and one of the issues is from the top down, if the big artists aren't attending, that's a problem. Right? Ja Praiser was there. Right? He was paid to be there. He may not have been there throughout because he might have had another show. But I think even that is indicative of the problem. It would be great if Ja Praiser was in the crowd consuming the awards every time, like once in a while, the camera would pan to him because that gives it cachet, makes it a great experience. Also, people in this, like, oh my God, there's Ja Praiser. You know what I mean? And then Ja Praiser goes and performs. I think it's a bit saddening to see that the awards have now become like, it's almost like a gig. You know what I mean? Or lack thereof a gig. Because I'm going to these awards to perform and that's that. I'm going to these awards to do my thing and leave. And I think that's part of the problem. As a consumer, I want this night to be like, yo, you know what? I'm going to the Namas not only to see the awards, but I'm going to the Namas because I know I'm going to bump into every person that I might need to bump into. And I'm going to establish my business, my relationships for the next 6 months to 12 months just at these awards. Like I'm going to do more networking over this weekend than I would everyone else. And that's how it works. Like when the MTV Music Awards used to happen, I used to schedule meetings around them because I knew everyone that I needed to speak to was going to be there anyway. And you'd get there on a Thursday or Friday and you'd leave on a Monday or Tuesday because there'll just be meetings throughout because everyone that you need to speak to was there. The Grammys, same thing. The Namas, is that the same? Do you like, as from my perspective, I don't think so. From your perspective, you tell me. Do you feel like everyone that you expect to be there is there?
So I look at it slightly different. It's the same point you're making. It's just from a slightly different perspective. I have it in my notes as well that I think a big problem was that superstars were absent from the biggest awards show in the country, which is not a good sign. You mentioned, for example, that it should be a big networking event. I don't think it should necessarily be that. I think it should be, and this is from the perspective of the celebrities and the superstars, it should be an unmissable opportunity to be seen as a superstar. The idea is if you are not invited and you're not present, you ain't nothing. I was watching the Oscars, and I'll get into the Oscars as part of our discussion as well. But at the Oscars, there was this group, I think they were coming from Latvia, or I can't remember, one of these small countries, European countries, I think. And they couldn't get a visa until the day before the Oscars. And then they finally got the visa, and then they scrambled to book the ticket. And then, so they're like, we literally landed 3 hours ago, and we came in, we hustled in late into this auditorium, and now we've been announced as a winner, and then they're expressing their huge gratitude for winning the award. For them, it's an unmissable show. You can't miss it. You can't miss it. You described earlier a scenario where an artist has to make a decision that I've got a live show or I've got the Namas. The profile of the Namas, and it's partly why I think it shouldn't be the Namas that does this. It should be a different awards. There should be a music awards. Maybe it's the Zimas. Maybe it's a different award ceremony that needs to come out that celebrates Zimbabwean music or celebrates Zimbabwean film. It should be so high profile that you cannot miss it. You can't think that I've got another show, I can't be there. Unless logistically it just is completely impossible. Your calendar should be built around it. How does that happen? Well, there has to be a certain level of PR and branding and marketing that has to go into it. I hope that there's a solid branding and PR and marketing team at the National Arts Council whose entire job and goal is just to build the brand of the National Arts Merit Awards. But let's say there isn't. Let's say the chosen one is a music award ceremony. Let's say the Zimbabwe Music Awards, of which Twimbos are a proud holder of one virtual award.
It was a real award until you gave it back.
Let's say the Zimas are to be the premier music awards ceremony in Zimbabwe. There would have to be a team whose entire goal, the entire thinking process is, how do we raise the profile of these Zimas? Number one, you would invite, like you mentioned, in fact, you might need to pay certain high profile musicians. You need to make sure that the next Zimas, everyone who's considered an A-list Zimbabwean music act is there and the camera is showing them. The production quality has to be high. The venue has to be amazing. The aesthetics need to look really good. The photos and the videos that come out afterwards need to be amazing. The red carpet needs to be hot, because then people feel like I can't be missing from that. And it will take a while to build that up, obviously. But then there's also very practical things you can do. Like you can literally basically strong arm people to attend. You kind of have to. Hi, I'm just calling to confirm your attendance. And it's something that we've spoken about on this podcast before, I think. And I think even further to that, you can do PR and you can do tips and tricks. But ultimately, the quality of the product is what's going to determine how it's viewed. So you have to go out of your way. And unfortunately, the problem in Zim is we just don't have that much budget in arts. But it always boils down to the economy. But I was watching the Oscars, Phil. The production value, and they also had a couple of little like mini blunders and mishaps and whatever. But the production value, it looks so glamorous, and we kind of have to do the same. And
I think that's a bit of a cop-out because you can do a lot with the little. Like, for example, the TV product for the Namas in the last 2 years I would say was great. And you can see remnants of that in the live performances. Like, you can tell that the musical direction and the live performances have been developed to the point where they're really polished. But how you present them in the auditorium versus how you present them on TV are two different things. And we could tell that there were issues with lighting, there was issues with space. The Hippodrome is not a TV. Like, a lot more needed to be done to make the TV product at the Hippodrome.
It could be.
Yes, but as I said, a lot more work.
It could be. The stage was huge.
A lot more work needed to be done. And that's my point is you don't necessarily need the budget. You just need grit. And people need to be focused on this, especially in all aspects. Like, we're about to make the best product. We have pride in this product. And that just wasn't happening. Like, we didn't even discuss, like, the director of the board of the National Council board. She had to give a TED talk for 15 minutes. And immediately Dan and I realized, oh, she's vamping. There's a clear delay in the program and she's vamping. And to me, already, like, from the outside speaking, that's a massive hole. If you've got an arts award show and you need to vamp for 15 minutes, you have a backstage full of artists. Why don't you just tell the person, stick to your normal script and then we'll have performers perform during intermission? Because that's normally what happens anyway. During an intermission for TV, ideally what should happen is a DJ will play music or a performer will come on stage and keep the crowd going. Small things like that. Because if I'm watching it on TV, how would I feel 5 minutes into the TED Talk when she's walking up and down the stage and you can tell she's not speaking from a teleprompter and she's having, like, that's not a good TV product.
100% agree. We need to start thinking of this as a TV product. And great idea to have a teleprompter, but then everyone who gives a speech must use that teleprompter. It must be timed. Okay, fine. The exceptions may be the award winners who give their acceptance speech. But, you have tools at your disposal. If they pull in Adrian Brody, you can play music to play them out. Literally switch people's mics off. Anyway, I think we need to severely cut down the whole ceremony and speeches and protocol. There does not need to be a speech from the minister. There does not need to be a speech from the National Arts Director. There does not need to be a speech from the board of directors. I don't believe any of those speeches need to be there unless there's a specific thing that needs to be communicated. For example, at the Grammys, we had the CEO of the Grammys give a speech about how they were apologizing for how the Grammys have been in the past and how they're changing it for the future. Great. Nice, tight speech. You could tell it was rehearsed. He was reading from a teleprompter and it was part of the program. The whole protocol that we do as if it's a government event, that it needs to be a tight TV product. But maybe some things are out of our hands and some people don't see it that way. Cool. Something else that needs to be fixed. I believe we didn't have a great MC.
Oh, she's going to kill you.
So I need everyone to understand that this is very difficult because remember, both Phil and I are in the industry. These are people that we know and interact with. These are people that this is someone that I'm going to see after this podcast. And you have to think about how you would speak to someone that you know. How would you, if you went to a show and someone performed on that show and you thought it wasn't great and they came afterwards and they said,
stop copying, please, and say what you want to say then.
No. I just want people to be aware of that. Anyway, in my opinion, the NAMA is the biggest awards ceremony in the country. The only people who should be eligible for MC for the NAMAs are the most decorated and most established and most known MCs. The Grammys are going to pick Trevor Noah after he was, 7 years? Host of The Daily Show, has done multiple sold out tours all around the world and is known as an accomplished MC. They're not going to bring on Jordan Klepper. I'm sure he's a great MC. I'm sure he's done events, but they wouldn't bring him on to host the Grammys because he has not reached that stage yet. Conan O'Brien was the host of the Oscars. My man has decades hosting a daily TV show, hosting events from small to big before he steps onto an Oscar stage. I think it should be the same for the Namas. Nabila Jogi was the host. She's a TV host on ZBC. She's fresh. She's new to TV, at least as far as I know. She's relatively new. She's growing. She's building. Can you hear that, Phil? A year. And then you're hosting the biggest stage in the country. No ways. For you to be eligible to host the biggest stage in the country, I want a minimum of 10 years. 10 years experience. And you could see she didn't have that experience. You could see she was nervous. You could see that in some of the interactions with the crowd, someone who was more experienced with dealing with a crowd wouldn't have done that. So yeah, our MC definitely needed more time to cook before she is eligible to step on the stage. And I'm so sympathetic because I get it, man. You know, you kind of have to go through those moments multiple times. In my opinion, it shouldn't happen live on TV on the biggest stage of the year. It should happen at the smaller shows, at the corporate gigs, at the comedy shows, at the whatever, where, call and response doesn't quite go like that. Maybe I shouldn't phrase it like that, or this joke doesn't quite work, or whatever. All of that you figure out in your 10 plus year career before you step onto a Nama stage. When you step onto a Nama stage, you are the epitome of poise, confidence, because you've done this 100 times before. So, yeah, I think it was a wrong choice of host. And yeah, don't hate me for this, Nabila. But yeah, I believe that you were not yet ready to cook on the Nama stage. And the inexperience was kind of visible, in the hosting. Phil has already mentioned this, but I have it in my notes. Venue was stuffy and hot.
To say, speak about how easy it was to get a drink while you're dealing with that stuffiness and heat, Dan.
These are unnecessary things, but there were no cups. Then there were cups. Then you can only buy by the bottle. But then it was a whole thing. And the bar actually was not even really a bar. It was just, it was a lot.
That's something like there's not to turn it into a rant session, but I think it's true. In many ways, Zimbabwe has become a failed state, right? And in business, fam, I literally had a meeting with a lawyer the other day, and the lawyer asked me, "Is this a good deal?" And my flabbers were casted. So I'm like, one of us went to school for this, and it wasn't me. But this is a common occurrence. Like, the bare minimum has become the standard in a lot of ways. Like, it's not, I didn't even know this then, but like the other day I was coming from the airport and we had to go drop someone off on the side of town. So we went down Seke. And people on the wrong side of the road on Seke. And I am like, what's going on? I know driving in Zimbabwe and Harare is like the Wild Wild West, but the driver's like, oh yeah, the cops now actually between 4 and 6 p.m. direct people to use the other lane because of the amount of traffic. And that kind of epitomizes what's going on in Zimbabwe. Our disorder has become so much a part of us that it is encouraged by the powers that be. And things like the biggest award show of the night, consistently having a bar, craft services table, whatever that may be, that is simply a makeshift picnic table with a sheet put over it. It's not a great look. You know what I mean? Going back to what we're trying to discuss about having the biggest stars there, there's things that they did right. Dan and I walked in, there were ushers, but great, there are ushers helping us, but the ushers also didn't know where we were supposed to go. Which is, so like, somewhere along the lines, the communication lines broke down. There should be a better experience for attendees. It should be an enjoyable experience. It should not be. Dan and I were baking, but we're not in ballroom gowns. There were women there in very extravagant ballroom gowns with heavy trains, Lord knows they were baking under there. And that can't be a fun experience.
It's not like they didn't do anything about it, right? I saw the air conditioning units that they had, which were clearly insufficient, and the fans that they set up that were behind us. But like look, Phil, I really don't want this to become like a bashing session, right? I really want it to be more of a,
I think it's a constructive criticism. I love the Anamas. I love the arts in the country. Like I said, we work with these people. So these are people that not only are the people we're speaking of, we have to see them. Like the people that we have to report to. They're like, I'm going to have to be like, I know I said some things, but I know I have to do this tomorrow. Anyway, so I love you. So but I think I think the other thing is, and it's not that we're some sort of like pioneers or anything, but there's also that there's a fear of speaking out against things because no one wants the retribution, and that's terrible for all things, because if no one ever speaks out and says, yo, let's improve here, let's improve there, nothing really changes. And not only that, credible voices that speak out. And I think this will bring us to the segue I want to get to, is if it's a credible voice that is bringing up a critique, and they bring up a critique with valid reasons and giving valid perspectives, you're more likely to listen to it and you're more likely to give it credence, I would hope. Right? Because it's balanced, it's fair, it's thought out. And that's what we're trying to do. And on the flip side, you have people like Holy 10 who see the Namas as a rollout or just an excuse to trend.
So, I mean, Holy 10 is a whole other conversation. Just before we get there, I want to wrap up with the Namas real quick. The one thing, last thing I have on my notes here. My humble request is, can we free ourselves from the shackles of using full birth names in the Namas? If Killer T is the winner of which he was the winner of Song of the Year, right? If he is the winner, I promise you it's okay to open up that card and read, and the winner is Kanandanyura by Killer T. You don't have to say Kelvin Kusikwenyu, aka Killer T. I'm begging. There's no other awards show. Well, okay, let me not say that. In more advanced arts environments, that does not happen. If the winner is Beyonce, it's Beyonce. If the winner is Shabuzi, it's Shabuzi. I don't even know what his real name is, and we don't need to. This brand has been built as this name. It's okay. I promise you, Nama people and National Arts Council and every other awards show, you can just say Killer T. You can just say that and it's fine. And what dusts me is it's selective. So for example, they'll say the winner of Outstanding Song is Kanandanyura by Kelvin Kusikwenyu. And then they'll say Best Comedian goes to King Kandoro. It's like, I mean, is there consistency? Yeah, Alpha. I think there's no need to use birth names. You can use that artist's name. And in many cases, since it's the Namas, there's some artists who are artists by virtue of them being visual artists or poets or whatever, and they just use their birth names. Then, of course, it's fine. Use their birth name. But if they have a brand that they've built as an artist, Master H is the winner. Do you know what I'm saying? It's okay to announce Master H is the winner of Best Male. You don't have to say Hilari Marufu is the winner. You know what I mean? Outstanding Male Musician.
I'm gonna lie, and I kept saying it to Dan. Every time they, like Master H photo that they used, it looked so much like Natio. I was confused for a second because I'm like, wait, is that Hilary? Is that Natio's name? I thought it was Carrington. What?
Let me just very quickly outline some of the biggest winners on the night, and I'm obviously going to focus on, I'm going to say it, relevant awards. So I mentioned comedy, right? Shout out to King Kandoro, winner of Outstanding Comedian.
Mm-hmm.
In comedy, There's, I guess it's a new category or a newish category. I don't know.
I know where you're going with this. You're a bastard. And a hater.
I'm going to be very fair. I'm going to try my best to be very fair. Okay. This is the category Spoken Word Awards, right? So they have outstanding poet, outstanding stand-up comedian, which went to King Kandoro, shout out. Poet was Kuda Rice. Then they have outstanding social media skit. And that category confuses me so much. Congratulations to the winner, Mujaya, who's been hilarious. I won't lie. His skits have been funny. And clearly Zimbabwe consumes a lot of skits on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So I understand that there's an interest in that art form. But it's so wild to me that the National Arts Merit Awards doesn't have categories for so many disciplines of art, but social media skits is one that they have. That's so wild to me. And I asked this on Twitter. I said, is there any other award ceremony anywhere that has a category specifically for social media skits? I Googled it. I found one in Nigeria, but it wasn't a national awards thing. It was an influencers award.
The Webbies have, but those are specifically for online content.
I'm talking about arts. Yeah. So even the Nigeria one, it was the influencer awards or something, Nigeria influencer awards, or I can't remember the exact the term of them. Social media skit. So outstanding social media skits. It just strikes me as not fully thought out. And I don't know what the correct answer is. I think it needs a little bit of time to percolate and cook. And we should sit down and say, okay, are we considering creating art on digital platforms as a category? If the answer is yes, then then the category should maybe, digital creator.
I know exactly what happened. I think you know what happened in that meeting.
Of course. It's just, you need to balance your desire to have, coverage on social media and make sure that you're relevant on social media with integrity of the award. Because to me, your only digital award cannot be social media skit. If you are the National Arts Council running the National Arts Merit Awards.
Which I actually find interesting because you've removed the radio personality award. I think online media is still there. But actually, wait, was the journalist still there?
No. There used to be online media. It's no longer there as well.
So you've removed online media but you've kept skit. That's where it doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's where I'm confused. I'm like really confused.
In my opinion, it should be outstanding digital creator. To me, that makes sense. So you're considering that some people are making art purely for digital platforms. And a social media skit maker could be a winner. Yes, absolutely. And I think Mujaya stands, every right of potentially being a winner this year. But to me, it seems so weird. It feels like, it feels like that one discordant note in an otherwise harmonious melody. And then you look at it like, oh, there's something off about this. And that's what I'm trying to draw my attention to. That social media skits just seems a little weird. I feel like it should be digital art or digital creator or online media or something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so shout out to King Kandoro, shout out Mujaya. Me saying this, by the way, is not me hating on Mujaya. I think he's a deserved winner of an award, aka Panashe Kurende. His speech was a little bit off because it sounded like he was antagonizing his fellow skit makers, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. So yeah. Then let me move to outstanding in the film and TV awards. I'm going to go to outstanding music video. Outstanding music video went to Baga, the song Nemam Sasa, directed by Leo V. That won the award, and that was up against Mula Nation's Machina, Mvura by Baga, and Masawira by Enzo Aishel. So congratulations to Baga for winning that one. Going to the music awards again, outstanding female went to Tammy Moyo. Outstanding male went to Master H. Outstanding breakthrough musician went to Chill Master. Outstanding music group.
I think well deserved. That was actually really well deserved. I was really happy with that.
Yeah, no.
Shout out to the boy Spirit. producer and
Chillmaster has
composer
had...
of the outstanding song Kanan Danyire.
Actually, can I just quick aside? Natio is our boy. I really wanted to call him and say, brother, can you please not reply to trolls on socials? Basically, someone was trying to make a very trolly point by saying one is called an established artist and one is called upcoming. And then they took a screenshot side by side of Natio's views on YouTube versus Chillmaster's views on YouTube. And Chillmaster has like a bunch of things that are above 1 million. And Natio's are sitting at 400K, 500K, 300K, that kind of thing. And I think this really touched Natio because now he was responding with, you know, I really want to be like, brother, just leave it. It's okay. It's okay. One, that highlights how good a year Chillmaster is having, firstly. Secondly, I mean, it's the nature of music, right? When you're hot, you're hot. But longevity is the real source that you're looking for.
There's a key point you're missing, which is also highlighted, is that YouTube is but one channel for the consumption of music.
Of course. Yeah. And this is completely this is what Natio was saying. Phil, I don't even need to address it because you're completely failing to understand the point. Yes, Chillmaster's had a hot year this year, so I can understand why he's had a lot of views on his videos. Natio went through that when he was hot as well. Not to say that he's not hot now, but there was a time when Angachi pisa. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay, but longevity is the real key that you're looking for. And like Phil said, there's multiple platforms. YouTube is just one platform. So it completely makes sense that yes, Chillmaster is a breakthrough musician. 2024 was a huge year for him, and he's the deserved winner of Outstanding Breakthrough Musician. Outstanding song went to Kanandanyura by Kelvin Kusikwenyu. And Spirit. Outstanding album, NOP Makoni by Volts JT. Shout out to Volts. Shout out to team. They were present to receive the award. I thought his speech was great. His point was basically...
That was a dope speech. I love that speech.
He basically went up and he said, he basically was like, yo, hip hop has got this. We got this. And if you are wondering, can you do it? This is proof that you can. So let's keep working. I was like, man, this dude is dope, man. Volts is dope. He's making hits. He's showing up. He's looking good. He's performing well. He's doing live performances. He's handling his social media right. Do you know what I mean? Shout out to Volts. Promoter of the year went to Event Hulks. We were wondering who that was until they gave their speech and we realized, oh, those are the guys who are behind Duke and Slay. As you know, Phil, I believe we have a viral TikTok about Duke and Slay.
So you use viral very loosely then.
Of course. Phil, of course. Outstanding artist in the diaspora went to a visual artist, Masimba Wati. I am unfamiliar with his work, so I can't really comment, but I thought it was a shoe-in for Anatolia. But anyway, congratulations to Masimba. And then People's Choice went to Winky D. Say congratulations to all those artists that won NAMA awards. Okay. Anything else about the NAMAs? Yes, we were now moving to the situation that happened afterwards. So you mentioned Holy 10.
Before I forget that, I was also so Winky dropped an AI video, which I deliberately avoided until I saw it this weekend. Some people came over at a surprise. It was my birthday. I don't know. And so there's a surprise pop-up that some friends did. And then we're just playing music and then the Winky D video popped up. And I was like, this is terrible. Like I've been avoiding it because I just didn't want to see it. But then after watching it, I was like, this is terrible. Like it's bad. But I think it's because you and I have maybe been playing with AI for a while. So we understand, like we can see where the visual hallucinations are. We can see where the fingers aren't matching. We can, like, there's a point where like a whole hand goes disappearing. Like Winky D's look changes like 17 different times because it doesn't know how to like fully develop his face. It's just bad. And then I saw Juicer Demented did another AI video for XQ's Dio video, song. And I was just like, guys, what are you doing? At a time when artists should be trying to push the connection that they have with fans. They should be trying to push human creativity. They should be trying to show, hey guys, this is why we are better than AI. You guys are running headfirst into working with AI in the worst possible. There are ways to work with AI. I don't think this is one of them. Especially when you guys are already struggling to make money. You're struggling to make music. You're struggling to work with directors and pay them because the money that the music's not making enough. And you devalue and commodify the art by producing these terrible AI videos that have there's no value to them. Like outside of a 15-second demo reel, like this is what AI can do. How is this good art? And what happens to the directors, the staff, the gaffers, the sound guys, the lighting, makeup, wardrobe, dancers, like the whole ecosystem? You guys are just casting them aside for this cheap product. To what end?
I disagree with you a little bit. Only on the reasons. Again, where I do agree with you was terrible video. Terrible video. I do think to a certain extent it wasn't, I can imagine them sitting and saying, listen, bro, this is not meant to be like the official music video. This is us just playing around with AI and just put a video out. I don't think you should have done that. But I don't think your reason should be that, you want to somewhat maintain the status quo, that you want to make sure that casting directors and lighting and whatever still have jobs, and that you yourself also are able to earn more. So that's the reason why you're shunning AI.
That's not what I think. What I'm saying then. You see, you started again, but okay. You obviously said it in a lot of words, and I'm distilling it into a little bit, and it loses a bit of the nuance. But I think ultimately what you're trying to say is, in a time when artists are earning less and there is this existential threat of AI art that could potentially threaten your bag, should you be throwing your lot in with the AI? I think not. And that my response to that is, I don't quite agree with that sentiment. To me, it's exactly the same as, you guys, can you not realize that horse-drawn carriages are going to go out of business? Should you be throwing in your lot with cars? Or exactly the same as, you guys, factory floor workers are going to be going out of business. Should we be throwing our lot in with automated systems? Or you guys, I think technology is always going to move forward. And the artists who are going to do the best are the artists who embrace it and move with it. And yes, things will change. And yes, the way that you were earning money previously might change, but there's other artists who are going to earn more. So far better for you to embrace technology. So I don't think it's wrong to embrace AI as a new technology that's coming, or the AI tools that are available. I just don't think it was a good AI video, and I don't think it was the best way to use that. I think, for example, they could have shot a video and then included AI elements in it. Do you know what I mean? So there you are. You've shot a video as you normally would, and you've included AI because you're like, yo, we wanted to make it grander than we could with the resources we have available to us, and that's what we used Google's VO for, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? I think there's room to experiment that. I mean, was it Childish Gambino? Who was the artist who partnered with Google's VO to do a music video? I think it was Childish Gambino. I think there's room to experiment and play around, or do something crazy, or imagine if this, or like there's so much room for that. But just to make a bunch of prompts and then stitch them together and call it a video, in my opinion, was not great. And yeah, I think, listen, now that you've reframed, I think that's what I agree with. My whole point is, AI is supposed to be a tool to improve, not
replace.
Not even replace, like replace, but then replace badly, like a cheap commodification. I use AI to make my work better, make my work faster, but ultimately make my work better. I'll compare and contrast, like this stuff I did with AI, this is the stuff I did written. Like, is this a better product? And part of it involves a lot of back-end work, which takes a lot of time to train the AI into the work that I do, how I attack a problem. And these thinking models are really great at doing that. And it helps with my thought process. It's essentially, the way I see it now is like, it's like having an assistant, but on call 24/7. Right? Ultimately, the biggest disappointment I have with these videos is they're not good. They're not better. And a perfect example of this is like the Oscars, which you just watched, is The Brutalist. Remember, there's a whole controversy about The Brutalist. The Brutalist is a long movie about a construction guy or something. I haven't watched it. I don't have the 17 hours it's going to take to watch that movie because I heard it's long as hell. But from what I understand, they speak Hungarian. The actors learned Hungarian, but they weren't really delivering the Hungarian because it's a second language, and it's a second language that they learned for a movie. So obviously they're not going to be sharp. So the creative team and the director made a decision. They're like, hey, we're going to use AI, Respeecher, which is the same technology that was used in Star Wars for James Earl Jones' voice with Darth Vader when he had passed. So like, hey, we're going to use this to recreate this person's voice. And we'll use it to recreate the voice using the perfect Hungarian dialect as someone who uses it as first language. And it became this big controversy. However, I saw some clips and I read the articles and I was like, I'm not really mad at this. A, they disclosed it. B, they used a technological tool to tell the story in a better way. Because one thing that happens often is you'll be watching a movie and if they're not speaking correctly or they're using a bad accent, that can draw you out of the movie. It can take you away from the experience. And then it's like...
Imagine if they use Respeecher to make Black Panther African accents actually sound like African accents.
What's an African,
you know what I mean?
What's an African accent though, Dan? What's an African accent? Please tell me.
I am using it obviously as an umbrella term, but let's say you would have West African versus like in some cases they had closer accents, right? Which I think is what they based most of the Wakanda language on. So if they had used it for, actually, you know what? Come to think of it, if they had done that, we probably still would have been mad because why not just use Africans?
Yeah, I can. So. And are the people who are upset wrong? No, I don't think they're wrong. Are the people who used it wrong? Not really. I can understand the rationale behind it. Like I can see both sides, and I'm like, but at least
guys, remember, this is art made for a capitalistic purpose. But I'm sure some of the artists in there were very keen on communicating using their art and creating art for all the various intrinsic reasons that people make art for, right? But this is not a government initiative that has taxpayer money, therefore it must be done in a fair way. No, you do whatever it is for you to get your art, whatever is considered ethical, of course, but you do whatever it is to get your art across to the people out there. So you can't be mad that an artist used paintbrushes that he bought from overseas instead of supporting local paintbrush producers. The person decided that that's what I wanted to use to make what I wanted to make.
Yeah. So to finish my point, I don't believe they're wrong, but ultimately they produced a quality product, which from what I've seen and heard, and I'm sure Dan maybe he's watched the movie, can attest, was a good movie that was Oscar nominated. I don't remember if it won. We'll get to that later, but it at least made the art better, right? These AI videos are just composites of demos. This is like when Sora first launched and Sora dropped like 15 different clips. And some of those clips were just like the wolves that kept like multiplying and stuff. That's what these videos look like. They look like demos. Why are you making them? I don't understand the purpose of this. Like for a 15-second promo reel. Hey guys, look at this cool thing we've done with AI. There's a service I use called Pixel. I don't know if you've seen on Apple Music. Apple Music sometimes has the animated album art. So what that tool allows you to do is it allows you to animate your art specifically for Apple Music. For $10 a month, you just upload your album art and it'll animate it for you and it'll generate a couple of options. The ones that are the best, you transfer to Apple Music. To me, I use that once in a while. That's a great tool, right? But I'm not going to use that to make a whole video because it's a different form of art. It's the same thing as I want to have a music video with fire. Am I going to burn a car? No. If I hit a law and I'm like, no, I need some special effects on this. And I was like, cool, I got you. I can work my CGI magic. And it looks good. Perfect. You know what I mean? I've achieved my objective, and the tool has made it better. I don't see what you guys are doing. So on one side, you're costing yourselves, you're devaluing your art on both fronts. You're devaluing your art in the creation of it, and you're devaluing your art in the product that you're producing. And that's why I'm like, I don't know why you guys are doing this. I don't get it.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. Even in the example that you made of using VFX, I want to make a music video with fire in it, but I don't want to burn something live. There will be some people who will say, no, I don't like you using effects. I would have preferred a practical fire. Fine. That's what you'd have preferred. It's fair. But some people will also be like, I like how it turned out. Cool. I think with this Winky D AI video and the other one, I haven't seen the XQ one. Is there anyone really, really, and not just from a stand perspective, really, really, I prefer this to actually seeing a Winky D video? I don't think there's anyone.
No.
So what's the purpose of why? I get it. Maybe it's a gimmick. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like, listen, maybe we don't have the budget to do a full music video, but hey, throw me a couple $100. I'll pay for this subscription. I'll put stuff together and then we can get this together. Maybe that's what it was. In which case I would have said rather not put out a video.
Yeah, just a lyric video.
Rather,
like literally, you could do a lyric video. You could get even those cheap little animation slide.
All that banda to switch on the light while you're in studio and film you as you sing along to that song. Take a couple of takes and use that to stitch it together into a lyric video. You move. It's not the official music video. It's just a lyric video or a I don't know. You call it whatever you want. But anyway, let's move on to the Oscars. We should wrap up sometime soon, Phil. So I watched the full Oscars. The Oscars were last weekend in LA. Quick recap of some of the major winners. Biggest winner of the night was Anora. Won Best Picture. Best Actress was Mikey Madison from Anora. Best Director went to Sean Baker from Anora. Best Original Screenplay, Sean Baker for Anora. And I think they won one other award. Oh yes, best film editing, Anora. So I laughed because someone said, we worked so hard to try and block Emilia Perez that we failed to see the real villain, Anora. And I was like, for real? Because what is that? I'd never even heard of it before the Oscars. Had you heard of this?
No, man. No.
I'd never even heard of it. Turns out it's a movie about prostitute. It's a sex worker thing. I'm not saying that in a red pillar MAGA way. I mean, that's literally the subject.
Why are you such an idiot?
That's the subject.
No, dude,
what is pretty,
I know what you're saying, but the way you said it is
what is pretty
wild.
What is Pretty Woman about? All right. What is Pretty Woman about? Anyway.
I killed him. I'm sorry.
I've never watched it. I don't know what it's about.
I'm dying.
Honestly,
oh my God.
I'm not in a super rush to watch it, but who knows? Maybe. Yeah. So I already mentioned some of the big winners, right? So, Best Picture, Anora. Best Actor went to Adrian Brody from The Brutalist, who also gave the longest acceptance speech in Oscar history. I believe I saw that statistic somewhere. I don't know if it's 100% true or not. It was so awkward and he said nothing. He was just up there and he was like,
do you think it was high?
Like, I think he's just stupid. I think his brain is like, my man was like,
you're such an asshole.
My man was like, yeah, just like be kind, guys. And like, this means so much, and then the music started playing. It's like, I know this is not my first time. I've won this before. Please stop the music. I'm going to get down just now. I just have something to say. Yeah. So this is just amazing, and we should just do good things, I was just like, get this guy off the stage, man. Best Supporting Actress went to Zoe Saldana of Emilia Perez.
The penis cutting song has won an award.
Quick side controversy from that. So Saldana has now won this award. She's being interviewed by journalists afterwards, and a journalist from Mexico says, "Hi, I'm from Mexico," and we all know the story that's going on with Emilia Perez. Considering all the controversy and offense that the movie has caused about, especially since it was a movie about Mexico, what are your comments? And this lady says, "Thank you very much for asking that question. And first of all, I want to disagree with you." It's like, what do you mean you're disagreeing? I want to disagree. The movie was not a movie about Mexico. In fact, the exact wording was Mexico was not at the heart of the movie. And therefore, Mexicans are not offended. Something like that. And everyone was like, yo, this woman literally said, "I'm from Mexico. We are offended by your movie." And your response is, "I disagree with you." What? Anyway. Minor controversy that I have very little interest in pursuing.
Dude, are you forgetting what Zoe Saldana said after the, why am I forgetting her name now? Damn it. When she used blackface. What is the movie?
Oh, the Nina Simone
movie.
Nina
Simone. Jeez, I was going to hate myself with, the Nina Simone. I think we also need to understand sometimes these people aren't great. They're not the greatest of people, and it's fine.
Yeah. And if only someone had said that before. Here's the okay.
Also, I did laugh at the Kev on stage. Did you see his response? Because
what did he say?
If you remember on Bodega Boys, there used to be that common joke about like Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. They're saying, "I know black." Even
yes.
Did you see the Kev on stage?
I didn't see it, but I did see some people talking about "I know black."
Let me see if I can play it for you.
I can hear it.
There we go.
Did I miss the memo when Zoe Saldana started going by Zoe Saldana? Well, I didn't know she had a tilde over the end. She won that Oscars, and they were like, "Zoe Saldana." I said, "Danya? I didn't know that baby was a Danya. I thought she was a Donna." Did I miss?
I didn't know she was a Donna. I thought she was a Danya.
So I want to play. So the next one is Best Supporting Actor went to Kieran Culkin. Well known for his role in oh my God. Succession. Thank you. So he gave his speech. I'm going to play the speech for you, Phil. And then I want to see if you can guess what the controversy was that came out from his speech. So this is about 3/4 of the way through halfway through Kieran Culkin's acceptance speech for winning Best Supporting Actor.
My favorite people in the world. Please don't play the music because I want to tell a really quick story about Jazz. About a year ago, I was on a stage like this, and I very stupidly, publicly said that I want a third kid from her because she said if I won the award, she would give me the kid. It turns out she said that because she didn't think I was going to win. But and people came up to her and were like, really annoying her. I think it got to her. But anyway, after the show, we're walking through a parking lot. She's holding the Emmy. We're trying to find our car. Emily, you were there, so you're a witness. And she goes, "Oh, God, I did say that. I guess I owe you a third kid." And I turned to her and I said, "Really, I want 4. And she turned to me. I swear to God this happened. It was just over a year ago. She said, "I will give you 4 when you win an Oscar." I held my hand out. She shook it. And I have not brought it up once until just now. You remember that, honey? You do? Okay. Then I just have this to say to you, Jazz. Love of my life, ye of little faith. No pressure. I love you. I'm really sorry I did this again. And let's get cracking on those kids. What do you say? I love you. I love you, Zissou and Booba. I love you, 52.
Wait.
So
a husband and wife discuss having kids, and it's a controversy. Also, I'm reading myself, Dan.
I watched that. And my only thought was, oh, cute. Told a little cute story about how his wife said, "I'll only give you a 4th kid if you get an Oscar." Well, here's my 4th Oscar. Haha, let's get cracking on it. Funny, haha, lol. And then it pans to her and she's like laughing and she's confirming the story. Then when he says, "Let's get cracking on those kids," she's like shaking her head and is like, "No ways." And I thought it was a cute, funny situation. We move on. Lo and behold, The next day, in a lull in the busy work day, I decided to open Twitter. And did I not see Think Peace Twitter at it again? Apparently, this was a representation of how the patriarchy continues to show disrespect for women and view them only as machines for pushing out babies.
You can just see. I consider myself a man again. I read the books. I do the work. I try my best. I'm attacking toxic masculinity, but sometimes you'll go too far. And the problem is, on the same thing happens on the right. Right now, things are going bad on the right. You know why? Because no one tells them, shut the up. You sound stupid.
Mark Wayne did it.
On the left, we must also reinstate. And sometimes we must also just say with love in our hearts and be like, yo, shut the up. You sound stupid.
So, okay. I thought, you know what? No, this is just the crazy part of Twitter. I don't think this is like real. Or maybe there's something that I missed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe I missed something. So I like went into the thread and this person was like, no, this is what you have to understand. When a man receives everything that he's ever dreamed of, that's when you really learn how he feels about the woman that's by his side. And you can see that Kieran Culkin only sees her as a vessel for carrying his babies. Because now that he's on top of the world, all he can I was like, yo, what are you guys talking about? Anyway.
Like I said, Dan,
let me move.
Sometimes it's okay to just tell people to shut the F up. You sound like an idiot. And it's okay.
Okay. Let me see. Any other notable wins that I want to mention?
We didn't even discuss the Holy Chanding, but yeah. I was going to say, best musical. Not going to Wicked was interesting.
Best musical went to, what did best musical go to?
Also, okay, I don't know. Well, I guess it's not an original song, but I would have expected.
Is best musical is not a category, nah, Philip, is it? Best original song went to El Mal from Emilia Perez. Best original score went to The Brutalist. Best costume design went to Wicked.
Yeah, that was deserved. I'm trying to see what else Wicked. But let's see.
Best production design also went to Wicked. Best makeup and hairstyling was The Substance. Did you watch The Substance?
No. I haven't watched any of these. I didn't even know. Some of these movies, I'm really out of the loop. So I understand that one's where like Demi Moore clones herself and it's a big comeback thing.
Yeah. So I felt like I was being gaslit. That's a bad movie, Phil. It's like bad. It's from a place of...
Oh, you've watched it?
I have watched it.
So then,
I mean, I saw all the hype about it.
Every movie that we're supposed to watch, you say you don't have the time to watch, but all these weird movies you've watched, what's going on?
No. What do you mean weird? The Substance was one of the biggest movies of 2024. It's the one out of all of them that I watched. I haven't watched any of the others. Cliff notes without spoilers. Demi Moore is now old. Some shady organization that is never shown on screen gives her a substance that will essentially clone herself into a younger body, but there's rules that you have to follow. Like you can only do it for one day at a time or like a week at a time. And there's some weird rules that you have to follow. So she does that and she becomes a super hot young lady. Well, or white people's definition of super hot, because I was like, I mean, she seems like a nice lady, I guess. She's pretty, I guess. Anyway, it's a bad movie. It's so bad. Demi Moore acts amazing in it, but it's just the plot and the logic and the plot holes. It's so bad. But it's also meant to be somewhat campy. So I kind of get it from that perspective, you know. I felt like I was being gaslit. Like, yo, wow, this is like the movie of the year. Like, what a story to tell. I was like, what? This is the same movie I watched? This is a bad movie. Interesting concept, I guess. Anyway, I then later realized that I'm not the target market. The target market for that movie is women over 40. And I guess it really like this is the most powerful scene in the movie, Phil. as has been referenced in multiple places. So here's Demi Moore. She's a washed up, but once upon a time super famous movie star. She's now in her 50s. So she runs into some guy that she knew in school, and he recognizes her. It's like, damn, remember we went to school together? Oh my God, I was such a big fan of all your movies. I used to tell everyone I went to school with her, da 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 da. And she's like a little flattered because no one's been paying attention to her recently because she's now old and she's not getting cast in any of the movies anymore. Anyway, he says he would really be keen to take her out for a drink. So, I mean, she's like, okay, fan, takes his number, then, doesn't follow up on it. Then sometime later, she's like super low on self-esteem. So she calls that number and he's like super, like reassuring, like, no, I would love to take you out. I'm so glad that you called. Let's meet on this date at this time, da da da. And then she gets excited for it. So this super powerful scene in this movie is she starts dressing up. Then she starts putting on makeup. Then she looks at herself in the mirror. And then she rubs off her makeup, then puts it on again. And then she rubs it off and then takes off her dress and refuses to go out on the date. We were like, wow, that was so powerful. And I was like, you know what? I'm not the target market, clearly. There's someone who this resonates with and it's not me. And that's why I'm sitting here thinking it's not a great movie. But anyway, best makeup and hairstyling went to The Substance.
I can't believe it beat out.
Best sound.
That's wild.
For makeup and hairstyling? I mean, typically for makeup, you would expect it's like one of the other. Okay, Wicked she was green. The Substance is they made her into a monster. Do you get what I mean? Nosferatu, they made him look like a 300-year-old man. You know what I mean? Like the best makeup levels are higher. Wicked was great, but like the levels that were needed were of much more intensity for movies like The Substance or Nosferatu, in my opinion. Anyway.
Okay.
Best production design, Wicked. Best sound, Dune Part 2. I wish Dune Part 2 had won more awards, by the way. I thought it was amazing. Best cinematography, The Brutalist. Haven't watched it. I think it's going to be a long time before I watch it. Anyway, cool. So just quick reference to some of my notes that I wrote down as I was watching it. I was watching in the background while I was cooking, actually. And then doing some other stuff. So firstly, it started off with a performance by Cynthia and Ariana performing some of the soundtrack to Wicked. Yo. That mic was on. Cynthia can sing. She can sing.
I did tell you.
Even my cold heart was like, yo, shiver, shiver. What is this? Sure. So that's the first thing I wrote in my notes. Second thing I wrote was, it's so difficult watching this just after Nama because the quality and production and flow and everything is, but again, let's not make this mistake and trap ourselves in comparing to the Hollywood complex. Next note, the host was Conan O'Brien. I thought he was excellent. He was funny. He used self-deprecating humor the whole way through. And he just, that's my favorite type of host. You know what I mean? It worked. It worked. So, he was hilarious.
So I've got a question for you. So I think you've seen, like, I follow Bob Lefsetz. Sometimes I don't agree with his takes because he's an old white Jewish lawyer and he speaks like an old white Jewish lawyer. But it's always, I find it interesting to follow him because he gives a side or an opinion that I don't necessarily always agree with. And just after the Oscars, he dropped a newsletter where he was like, this is the problem with the Oscars. They're not trying to attract the audience. They don't know who they are. They're aging out. They're not relevant anymore. Look at what the VMAs did. They should have got someone who's younger, who's online. And I disagreed with that because I'm like, why would you want someone? The Oscars aren't a youth. Like, no, it's very rare. I can't remember when I was 18. Like, I can't wait for the Oscars. As I got older, like an Oscar would,
you wouldn't have an interest.
I didn't even watch them. I would just see like, oh, okay. I would use the Oscars as a kind of loose guide to like, oh, this is a movie I should maybe check out. And I think that's partly because I was in the cinema club when I was in school. And my old teacher kind of instilled that, like, yo, this is how you consume art, this is how you dissect art, this is how, like instilled media literacy, media analysis, that type of thing. But I don't think the average consumer really cares about Oscars. I think maybe when they decide on a movie to watch, sometimes it helps them pick like, okay, this is probably worth my time. But what do you think about that? Because his complaint was like, Conan is too old. Why is Conan hosting these? But I watched the monologue because that was on YouTube and I loved it. I was like, oh, this is, but I'm also a massive Conan fan. I used to wait up until 2 a.m. And if you guys don't even remember this, there was a time where you could only watch Conan O'Brien and Jay Leno on MSNBC, the news channel, after midnight on weekends. And they'd run an omnibus from midnight till like 4 a.m. of all the episodes they've done in the week. And I would wait up and watch that because that's how much I love Conan. So I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it? Or do you feel like the Oscars are aging themselves out?
No, to me, it's absurd to think of the Oscars as a young thing. It's not. Think of Robert De Niro ranting about how cinema has changed because of Marvel. Think of it in that light. That's what the Oscars, the audience in the crowd generally are. Of course, there's movie stars are all there, but it feels old. It feels 40s. You know what I mean? Like people who are in their 40s are watching this and talking about the critique of movies and and like, to be fair, when I was 25, I would not have enjoyed most Best Picture winners, but now maybe more, you know? Anyway, I think Conan O'Brien was funny. He kept it moving. He had just the right amount of humor, in my opinion. Obviously not every joke lands 100%, but I think for the most part, he did a great job. And I think he had the right temperament for it. And again, I just couldn't help but compare him to our host at the Namas. And, you know, he didn't shout and ask he kept it moving. It was good. Nick Offerman was the equivalent of the Namas voice host, the Oscars announcer, guy in the background who was just making announcements. Brilliant. They had several bits together with him, which I thought were great. I was actually quite surprised by how kind of funny several different parts of it. So, for example, Ben Stiller comes up to announce production design. So he obviously does this bit where his production design is bad. His stage doesn't come up correctly. And then he has to, it was funny. And he just goes up there and acts like he doesn't notice it. And then he starts trying to jump and shout over the problems that he's having to try and announce, basically saying, without the production design being perfect, the presenter or the actor or whatever won't be able to showcase their best talents. And he's literally showing it as it goes. And I just thought it was funny. You know, he'd just be chuckling like, that was kind of funny. So, I mean, you know, I actually was entertained watching the full show. Something else that I had on my notes. I didn't count, but there seemed to be a lot of foreign films winning Oscars. From Latvia, from Iran, even the Palestinian one, which I'll talk about in just a second. And I guess I take it for granted that America views whatever its awards are as global, but in reality, they're American awards. So the Grammys is global, but it's American Music Awards. Oscars are global, but it's American Movie Awards. But they seem to be making a very concerted effort to announce winners from other countries, or at least that's what I seem to notice. I don't know. I don't know what this means. I wonder if it means more opportunity in Hollywood and a lot of these were not like huge movies that then blew up. It was literally like this was a small movie that was made in Latvia or like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what it means.
Anyway.
So the globalization is the short answer. There's been a globalization of entertainment in general. For years past, a lot of these untapped markets or third world economies were what they called dark revenue. They couldn't tap into it. So on a first run, you might be able to get some form of money from the cinema in Zimbabwe, for example. But thereafter, you had no idea what was happening. Movies that were distributed by Ster-Kinekor via VHS or DVD would get purchased in South Africa or purchased in Zimbabwe when Jaggers was still a thing, or Spin Along, for example. And they'd go to rental shops or they'll be swapped out. And you'd have no real way of tracking how popular is this movie here. The only other way you do it is through syndication, where Mnet would then play a movie from 2, 3, up to 20 years ago, and they just have it on repeat. But even then, Mnet wouldn't know how to track those views because only people with the metric box, and it was a small sample size, I think it was like about 1,000 households, would be able to provide information as to what they were watching. Now, with the advent of everything going digital, it's a lot easier to start tracking.
Mm-hmm.
And entertainment in general is going global. So I don't know. This is a bit of a deviation, but a fun one. I don't know if you've seen, Dan, wrestling is now on Netflix. The talk of the past week with the WWE is how John Cena turned heel with The Rock and beat up Cody Rhodes at the Elimination Chamber. And it was a big, big thing. Massive, massive, massive thing. Before, and you remember 4, 5, 6 years ago, on this podcast, I spoke about, the way the WWE is handling social media is amazing because every time I get a report, the WWE was by far the biggest entertainment/sports league in terms of social media coverage on earth. And now they've taken it to another level. And now you've got the whole world reacting at the same time, seeing the same thing, and not just seeing a small clip. They're seeing the full segment because it's available on Netflix. Beyonce's Cowboy Carter halftime show on Netflix. Everyone saw that. Kendrick's Super Bowl performance. After the fact, though, everyone saw that. So there's now a globalization of things that were massive American pop culture moments that are now becoming global pop culture moments. So you now have the opportunity. It's like RRR. Before, that would have been a massive movie in India and in the Indian/Bollywood community across the world, but we necessarily wouldn't have watched it. It's like when we're...
But what a movie, though.
Yeah.
What a movie, though.
It's like when Dan and I were working at the cricket, there was some massive Bollywood actor. And I was looking at him like, I'm sure this guy's a Bollywood actor. I think he is. And I Googled him. And I was like, oh, snap, this guy's huge. Right? In Bollywood. But we don't know it. And we don't have a real appreciation because we don't consume that content. But if we did, we would have been going crazy in that the VIP box. Right? Pause. And I think it speaks to that. The reason why so many international movies are now nominated and being recognized is it's easier for everyone to consume them. Because if you look at, there's another Netflix movie from last year, Emilia Perez, international. It's essentially an international movie with some American cast, right? But it's an international movie. It's got an Italian director. It's based in Mexico. It's got a Mexican cast, but also some Americans. It's an international movie. Right? There's another movie that they did, I think it was Roma. Yeah, Roma, another international type movie, right? You've got all these other documentaries that are now available globally that are appealing to an international audience because we can consume them all at the same time. Before, that wasn't the case. And these guys are now tapping into new markets, which is why I also disagree with what Bob Lefsetz was saying, because even though they're not trying to attract the youth, they're attracting international audiences. Because Anele was at the Oscars because her movie was a movie she produced was also nominated. You know what I mean? So there's this massive tapping into what's happening globally. And I think it's a great thing for filmmakers because in as much as the Academy Awards are American, they're only American because they are a byproduct of Hollywood. Hollywood being the biggest movie industry is based in LA in America. However, a lot of the stuff that Hollywood produces isn't even shot in America anymore. A lot of stuff is shot in Canada, for example. So globalization is now spreading the production, spreading the audience, spreading the consumer, the consumption all around. And I think it's reflected in what the Oscars are nominating. That concludes my TED Talk for today. Goodbye.
Some of the other notes that I have from the Oscars. Okay, so best documentary feature went to a film called No Other Land. I haven't watched No Other Land, but from my understanding, it's a story of what's going on in Gaza. And I think it's co-produced by both a Palestinian and an Israeli. And frankly, it was a surprise that it won. And from what I understand, for example, certain news outlets just reported on every other Oscar win except that one. And in the auditorium, some people refused to stand, in applause for it winning. I was like, what kind of world we living in, man? What? So during the acceptance speech, first goes up this, the Palestinian, apologies, I don't have his name. And he basically says like, listen, thank you for this Oscar, but I think it's so important that we tell the story about what's happening right now as people are being killed as we speak. Then after him, his Israeli co-producer says, listen, we made this movie together. He's Palestinian, I'm Israeli. We can live together. And then he mentions, I guess, the Israeli side of the concern about October 6th and whatnot. I didn't like it. I think I appreciate. To me, it's like a Zimbabwean coming out and saying like, listen, we've gone through, several hundred years of colonization and the horrors that we had to face, and we had to fight our way out of it. And, now we have a somewhat free Zimbabwe, and, we need to try and, fix the wrongs that were created during this colonialist period. And this is my colleague, my white partner, who comes out and says, yeah, but, during the war, these guys really came and they also fought hard and they hurt some of us. It's not equivalent. Do you know what I mean? But you can't go forward without conceding something. Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense? So it made me think, because then I was watching, I was following like dialogue about that conversation about how people were discussing how they felt about it. So one, obviously everyone was shocked that this Palestinian documentary won an award at the Oscars in a room full of people that were probably very upset by that very fact. But also, I think it's not possible to go forward in any peaceful way unless the wronged party has some form of grace. And that's what always happens. And it's so annoying. In Zim, we had to, have that policy of, that policy of, it's okay, we good, no retribution, we move. Mandela had to have the same policy that, you know what, it's okay. This is what happened in the past, from here we move. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate that that's what has to happen, but I feel like there's no other option. Anyway.
Sounds like you're just thinking out loud.
I am thinking out loud because I wrote down that No Other Land Oscar win for best documentary feature. Did not like both people speaking, and then I thought I was trying to put into words my thoughts about what was happening.
Yeah, I get you.
Anyway, so those are my notes from the Oscars. Overall, a pretty enjoyable watch. I wouldn't sit down and say I'm sitting down to watch the Oscars, but there's something playing in the background. I was like, oh, actually, it was a bit more entertaining than I anticipated it to be. And I will be checking out some of the movies that were mentioned. I don't know if I'm going to watch this Anora movie or whatever, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Let's see what else we got here. TV. Have you watched Daredevil? Have you started? I don't even know there's a new Daredevil. What the hell's going on? So much. So
Daredevil Born Again.
So this weekend I was doing what was I doing? I was just doing a bunch of tasks. I was cleaning out. So I was watching What If in the background. And so I hadn't watched this in season 2. So I watched season 2 of What If, and then like season 3, I stopped like 2 episodes to go because I was like, this is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. You're wasting my time. This is absolute BS.
How was season 2?
Season 2 was decent. It was fun. I actually enjoyed season 2. There's an episode that they did with the story of a Native American. So in this reality, the Tesseract, I'm forgetting his name. Who's the giant fire dude from Ragnarok that destroys Asgard?
I forgot his name, but I know who you're talking about.
So in this reality, he makes it to Asgard, and then he goes in to destroy the Tesseract, and then Odin is still alive, and he uses it as a shield, and then he smashes it, and then it travels to Earth, shatters into a million pieces, and then it like enchants this water where this Native American tribe live.
This is season 3.
Huh?
Or 2?
Was this?
Season 2.
This is season 2.
Is it season 2 or
season 2?
Because I watched season 2 and why am I struggling to remember this? But okay.
So maybe it was season 3. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe I'm actually mistaken. That to me was probably the best episode that I watched. The other episodes, and then they'd been building this whole time. Granted, obviously it's an anthology series with a slight through line, and that through line being Doctor Strange Supreme. And season 3 just disappears. It doesn't happen. Like just gone.
So I really liked season 1 of What If. I thought season 2 was not bad. I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm quite disappointed to hear that season 3 sucks because that's next. I'm slogging through. I'm slogging through Agatha all along, but
it was literally so bad. I'm not even watching Agatha all along. I think I was just like, nah. It was literally so bad. I was just like, screw it. I'm just going to watch the new Rockstars and heavy spoiler summary because it's shorter. And it'll just tell me whatever. And I did that, and I was like, yeah. It was, do you know, like when I knew it was bad. New Rockstar started giving opinions on the show. Granted, it was Lulu Clemens, but you know, like, cause like one of my biggest annoyances with New Rockstars is when something is bad, they'll never say this is bad. They'll just tell it how it is, and they don't give you an opinion. She was like, this episode wasn't the greatest, so. And so I was like, this is how I know this show is falling off a hill. So I watched a bit of that.
Okay.
And then obviously Paradise. Ooh, we need to talk about Paradise. Dan, have you caught up yet? It's just another day.
I have not watched Paradise. I want to watch Paradise with the missus, and the missus is only back next week. So can you imagine she's been gone this whole time? So there's a lot of things that I know are us watches. So I'm holding off on them. But from what I've seen, I'm excited to check it out.
No, Paradise is good. The season finale was really good, really good. You need to catch up on that. Then randomly I was on the treadmill because I told you like I watch like stuff on the treadmill these days. I saw on Apple TV, there's a show called Shrinking. So I was just like, because I saw the stars at the SAG Awards, right? And I was like, let me see what this show that Harrison Ford is in. That show is freaking good. It's like just a well-written, emotionally captivating. It's like a more adult version of Ted Lasso. It's really good. It's really good. I love it. Love that show. I think that's pretty much it.
Shrinking. Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
From a nerdy perspective, right? Listen, Creature Commandos. I mentioned it before. You all got to watch that.
Yeah, it's on the animated iPad. So next cardio session, I think I'll start watching that. I was finishing something else. Actually, this segues really well into this. It's been a while since we heard this. Anyway. I was playing the This Week in Hotep music. I don't know why you can't hear that. I need to figure out what's going on.
I can't hear. All right.
FD Signifier and Ill Bill in the past 2 weeks have dropped 2 incredible video essays on YouTube about Hoteps that, granted, I know we joke about them, but one of the reasons we do joke about this, we do know quite a bit about Hotepery. It's a very American concept and a very Black American concept. So we obviously don't want to make light of it because we are not of that culture. We're just observers. But they do an amazing job of breaking down what actually is behind the Hotep, how it became about, how they hijacked the Black empowerment, Pan-African movement, and how they've bastardized it and the messaging. I think they're really great documentaries. They're very long. FD Signifies videos 2 hours alone, and then Ill Bill's is like 1.5 hours, but they're really good. If you really care about like the Hotepery, you should definitely check that out. It's good stuff.
Why would this transition into that? That's my question.
I forget what we were talking about.
We were talking about Creature Commandos, but I do want to say, I mentioned Creature Commandos. The other one I was going to say was the animated Spider-Man. So it's called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it's the next animation project after X-Men 97 by Marvel. If you will recall, we were gushing over X-Men 97, so I was super excited about Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my second favorite comic book character. So when it came out and I watched it, enjoyed it immensely. But I felt like I was expecting a 99 and I got a 94. if that makes sense. So it's still incredible, but not quite as good as what I wanted it to be. But it was dope. Spider-Man with Norman Osborn, and I guess they're developing. Season 1 is just finished, and it looks like they're developing a Green Goblin arc over some time. But I think the main villain of this particular one is Lizard. No, not Lizard. What am I saying? Lizard for Scorpion. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. So I recommend, hey, if you want to watch something light, comic booky, animated, that new, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, you should check it out. I quite enjoyed it. I haven't been able to watch very much other than that. So I don't have too much to contribute on film and TV apart from my Oscar watching. So yeah, that's it. Is that.
All right. Oh, good. I think we got a good show, man. Oh, we got some listener feedback. We got some listener feedback. So the other listener, remember that was that question we asked. He said he caved. In summary, he caved and he went through a phone and was like, yeah, things were not standing correctly. So yeah, it was.
Well, that's the guy who said his girl was too friendly with other people.
Yeah. Then also some more listener feedback. Man. So even though we didn't have an episode last week, we did have an episode for patrons. We did like a little live recording with patrons, and then that was posted to our Patreon. And so we got a feedback from Taps. We're talking about movies, and we're talking about horror movies and how I don't like them. And then we're talking about Mayfair Witches, because Tongai Chirisa's in that as well. And the Interview with the Vampire, like all these Anne Rice shows that are now available on Netflix. Granted, you need a VPN to watch them, but there's a lot of like horror stuff. So people were talking about that. We had a good discussion with the listeners. It was like, on that horror movies discussion, Jema horror is right up my alley, which is funny because I don't watch any of the fantasy stuff, nor like the superhero movie stuff, but all the goofy horror movies are my thing. And on series, I tend to just enjoy random stuff. So most of my favorites tend to be in the line of The Wire, Breaking Bad, Californication, Entourage, Shameless, the US version, Black Mirror, 24, one of these not like the other, Narcos, Sopranos, House of Lies, and the Bear animated show. So yes, if you too would like to be part of this, please do contact us and get in touch. There was a question here that I saw about toxic masculinity. I don't know if you want to attack it today or I think we'll do it next week. We'll get to the toxic. I think the best place, listen, if you want us to address that, please become a Patreon subscriber and do you know what I've discovered? In our group, we have a couple of cinephiles. You know what I'm saying? So every time there's conversation about a TV show or a movie or whatever, there's a little core group of people who are really into watching stuff, who have some really good takes. So we can absolutely add your little niche interest into there as well. All you got to do is subscribe to TwoBrokeTimbos.com/donate. Become a Patreon member. We'll add you to the group. We'll have great conversations. But yes, I agree, Phil. There's plenty of other things that we can talk about, but I think this is a good place to end it. There's some new music, a ton of new music. There's the new Takura album that he dropped apparently he's been dropping like a madman.
Yeah, no, he dropped the full album only on YouTube and not on his Takura page, on a new page that he created called Shona Prince. And it is good. The songs are amazing.
Oh,
but obviously it's not going
to. Oh Lord.
Yeah, I mean, we can all surmise as to why.
No, people that don't know, but people that do know. That's what I was saying.
The music is dope, yo. It's like so good. I have to give Takura props for that new project, man. I was really enjoying it, but I couldn't properly listen to it because I couldn't get it on the streaming platforms. I had to open on YouTube. And I suppose I do have YouTube music, but I'm just not used to listening to stuff on YouTube music. But anyway, so there's the new Takura. There's a bunch of new stuff. There's Gemma is dropping. She's dropping tomorrow. I've got the exclusive if you want to hear it. In fact, let me drop it now. I mean, we may as well play. What's the point of getting songs before they come out if we don't play them? Although by the time the podcast drops, it will already be out. So this is that new Gemma. It's called Alone. Brand spanking new off her upcoming album. Check it out.
Everybody sounds cover ground. Making moves now, I'm traveling the world. Harare girl. Yeah, they say what I know. People sing my music loud. Gone from Jersey to chill spots, so they asking, is it luck? Is it timing? How come you've been climbing from Australia to Dubai, London, Cape Town? I don't like when I say that it's God who've been fighting on my corner. I know I see my wounds, riding solo, but I'm not. No, I don't do this alone. No man, I'm gonna follow. I only follow Jesus. Loving by nobody will. No, I don't do this alone. No man, I'm gonna follow. I only follow Jesus. Loving by nobody will. We don't get fire with fire, but then we gon' retire.
And from cheesy to chill spot. I'm feeling this. I like this. I think it's going to be a great radio single. Let's see how well it does. It drops tomorrow. It's called Alone. Gemma Griffiths. And then there's oopsie. There's a ton of other new music as well, obviously. Let's see, what do we got? I'm just going to mention some of them, even though we're not going to play all of them, and then we can choose what we want to drop in. Anita Jackson is back. She just dropped a single with Puma Cole. Boss Puma Cole. It's called Goodbye. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I didn't feel like it was super amazing, but it wasn't. It was nice. It was enjoyable. There's Phil. Wait, Phil.
What up?
Phil, I can't believe I forgot about this song. It's because it dropped last week and we didn't record last week.
Yeah, see, Mugu ones on my bones, I get to you. Tattoo in the gym, pass up, D quash. Skis as ting in the beam, tape, D quash. Tattoo at the case in the film, gangster, my deep eye. When I owe you, you in the gym, see, Mugu ones on my bones, I get to you. Tattoo in the gym, pass up, D quash. Skis as ting in the beam, tape, D quash. Tattoo at the case in the film, gangster, my deep eye. When I owe you, you in the gym. Straight, my Tiga jeans man, taka book a flight. The last guy, akakwasa kubuda mketo akasiya timira light. Tanga na boti shamshin. Tiriba kubudira na banga boys kwele zvikushafa mpiri. Pepire usina moto unozongono safa mpiri. Pana boys tuishi mayetiri tega atimirire kupinzwa mskiri. Yeah, atitokere vest.
Hey, what a tune, man. This is a song called Bimu by Sane? I don't know how you say his name. But from my perspective, out of nowhere, he just came through with a banger. Came out 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. And tune. Get to you, Taritongwene Jim. Type di kwacho. Hey, tune. Tattoo arigezwene vim. Feel. And just a reminder, kuti last one kubuda mugeto ngadzi mere light. I love it. He just got like he just says stuff in there that's just like funny, man. Shout out to my man. Sane saying I need to meet this guy or see his story. Beam, check it out. BHIMU. But yeah, there's a bunch of new stuff and oopsie. And I think we can drop some of the new music that's out. So definitely, maybe we'll drop something from the new Takura because I think it's really dope. Shona Prince. It's called Pariah and it's out on his Shona Prince YouTube channel.
All right. Dope.
Yeah, I guess on that note, this is pretty much us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention over the last 2.5 hours. Oh my God, 2.5 hours. You may support this podcast by heading on over to twobroketwimbos.com/donate and becoming a Patreon member or dropping off a once-off donation. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. You can also just retweet, share, like, drop a comment, hit us up in the DMs. I really enjoyed giving advice to someone who sent in questions. So if you've got whatever questions, relationship, life, business, job, whatever it is, drop us. I'd love for us to look at it and share our advice with it. You can send it through and we'll be anonymous with it if you like, or unless you want us to say your name. I guess on that note, thank you very much. And we are going to wrap it up here and we'll drop something new from Takura. Aha!
Good morning, Takura.
You wanna know how I feel? Ungo wami, ndavisa ngo wane. Nobody can compare to you. You are the rhythm to my blues. Now I'm stuck on the bed on the glue. And I don't really think that you have a clue. Dai wai si wa shanu digital. Dai wai si wa. Dai mo wangu wai physical. Wai satiza. You wanna know how I feel? Ungo wami, ndavisa ngo wane. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you did. I don't believe in magic, but each time I'm low, each time that I'm feeling so damn low, you smile, the glow. Your smiling knows I don't know too. I take my head off for you, I'm gonna settle for you. I'm thinking these other people just trying to label you. You got that melanin, pop, blow them away.